All right, dog. We're back. I don't know how many freaking of these things we've done over the years.
It's about to be one more banger. It's like the
It does.
Drake songs. You're
We
never
got,
disappointed.
we got, we put out bangers. We give the people what they want.
Yes, sir.
This one we got. Let's not bury the lead, man. We got ourselves a bit of an announcement here. What's happening?
So I got contacted by SBD, and they asked me if I wanted to be a first replacement for Sheffield. So basically, for those of you that don't know, it just means if whatever happens, somebody drops out, somebody gets injured, uh, I'm into Sheffield. I'm competing.
So we got first off, that's awesome. First off, that's a banger replacement because the biggest fear as a boxing fan, MMA fan, you see it in the UFC all the time. Athletes drop out all the time and complete cards, a mega card on the UFC can become shit because something you're like, oh my god, this is going to be such a good showdown, disappears, and then all of a sudden, what are you left with? And people get very upset. Sometimes they've even canceled cards because of it, because everyone it can greatly impact bringing you in. If we lose, like you look at the 83s, and it's an amazing battle. You lose one of these 83s, it's like, God damn. You lose Russ and his Gerns and Ade, or you lose whatever Germans, and it's not great. But if they insert you, and all of a sudden we got the 66s, you and Kasim saying rerun it back from Worlds. You got Kjell. I mean, now we're partying back all over again. So it's like I'm glad they got you. You bring star power. You got a pedigree. You got a resume, the whole nine. So let's talk about it. So, what were your thoughts on it?
I'll be honest. I think I deserved a wild card with everything that happened. The 66s, we were probably the one of the hottest battles with obviously the 93s. Emil to me makes a lot of sense because he had the winning pull in his hands and just missed out on grip. And the thing is, that's the exact same scenario as mine. I had the winning pull and I missed on grip. So, I was like, I might have my chances to get a wild card. And the thing is, I have this rule of mine that I never resort to. I like to never put my faith into somebody else's hands because
Mm.
then you're not sure of the outcome. And that's exactly what happened. When I know I didn't win Worlds, I was like, now Sheffield is out of my hands. When I won in 23, because I won, I got the automatic qualifier, so there was no debate, right? And so I knew by not winning Worlds, on top of losing the world title, which is, obviously very, very, very important, I knew that I was giving my Sheffield spot qualification into somebody else's hands. And when that happens, you cannot be sure of the outcome. And more so, what I would say is you can't really be upset because you know the rule. You know the only way to make sure 100% you go to Sheffield is by winning Worlds. And I didn't. So yeah, but it's being given this opportunity to me. It's a blessing and it's a curse also at the same time because it's a blessing, getting to step again on the biggest powerlifting stage is awesome, and that's an incredible experience. And I'm glad to be given this opportunity. And at the same time, it's a curse because I'll train like I can compete, and maybe I won't.
Mm.
So, like, I just finished my block and my training for French nationals, unofficially beat the world record. And now it's not, oh, I can just chill with my buddies and have fun. It's back at it again because right now I'm in Sheffield prep mode, basically.
So I want to unpack a few of these things. You made a lot of good points. First off, you're saying your session, one of the best sessions, and then you said also the 93s. I'm telling you right now, I've been commentating since 2016. Every single session since 2016, it was the best session I've ever seen. Period. The 66s, I don't think anybody can tell me another session in the history of IPF worlds that was that good. All three of you men on the podium, the exact same total, separated only by body weight. All you guys pulling for the win at the end. It was amazing. It
Yeah.
was absolutely amazing. So
And
to
also we
run
have
that,
some backstage stories that we
oh
discussed on
shit,
the podcast right after the event when you were here with the Wildlife Media guys. I think, not only I think was it really, really interesting for the audience, but also for me as an athlete, I don't want to say fun. I had fun because it's not fun, but I experienced a lot of really, really profound and incredible emotions going against, Garcia and Kassem-san.
well, I mean, we could revisit some of this because
Yeah,
I
we have a couple of good ones, I think.
we could revisit some of this because there was a little bit. I remember there was like, I don't know if it's controversy or not, but you favored world title over world games qualifier.
Yeah.
Your second last deadlift solidified world games qualifier gave you 707.
Yeah.
However, so it gave you the tie, but you're going to lose on body weight with
Yeah.
one more pull to go. And to break the tie, you go up 2.5 kilos. Now, obviously, top end range, very top end range. So if you would have not done your second weight and just done your third weight instead, that's the conversation where leading into it, you would have said low 287 and a half, pull so I clinched the world title. But instead, the French team favored world games and said load 285 for a second, clinch world games. We'll talk about the world title in your next deadlift. Of course, in real life, you only have so much energy and et cetera at the top end. Sometimes you have to make that decision like, okay, which one is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you feeling about that now when you look back? Or is it still like, oh, it's a tough one?
It's so usually with team friends, what we do is we just have like conversations prior to the comp, saying, hey, here is what I hit in training. Here is what I would like to hit on my opener, second attempt, third attempt. So, we just like game day discussions. And in my case, with deadlifts, so I injured my back, I think maybe 2, 3 weeks ago, like prior to Worlds. And so I told them, I don't know what I'm going to pull because maybe I'm pulling my opener and my bike tweaks and I can't do anything. So I told them, hey, if at some point there is a discussion on should I aim for the podium or should I aim for gold, I specifically told them I want to aim for gold, even if that knocks me out the podium. Um, and like you said, that's not the call that was made on my second pull. Um, I think partly I would like to take responsibility for that because I came in injured, meaning I wasn't sure I would be able to have two big pulls in me. So I want to take responsibility for that. Also, I should have maybe followed the game, like maybe telling them, hey, with just 2.5 more, I'm above Garcia, so load that instead of 285. So I didn't follow. I just did my opener, went backstage. They told me, how are we? I was like, we're good. And they made the decision, hey, let's load 285. So, yeah, but basically, it just comes down to what you said. Team France's goal was to secure the podium so I could compete at the World Games. My own personal goal was to, hold on to the world title and win. And, whatever happened, happened. And at first, I'll be honest, I was a bit frustrated with everything, not just with this decision, but also with myself. Um, and they were like, oh, you're going to thank us later because you'll see competing at the World Games, that's absolutely insane. And I partly agree, but that just comes down to what I said earlier when I say I'd rather have my own faith in my hands rather than give it to somebody else. And maybe if we would have loaded 287.5, so I would have been at 710, Garcia 707, and then from there, Kassem-san is in a tough spot because he's not on the podium. So either he shoots for first, has to pull over 300, the best, like above what he's pulled best in comp, or he can try to tie Garcia, knock him off the second place, and step on the podium, making sure
Now
he
he
gets
has
the
to make that
win.
decision.
Exactly. So that's also what frustrated me is with the same pool, Kasemsan was given everything. He was winning and tying us on total. Whereas if we had loaded 2.5 more, he would have had to make the call. Like, what do we do? Do we aim for first or do we secure second? And maybe he's not even pulling to win worlds because of that. So I was like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I feel I still feel a bit frustrated about it. I not 100% convinced on like the World Games being this crazy competition, crazy experience, a once in a lifetime experience, because I know what was at stake also with the first place. It's not just I win worlds, which obviously just in and of itself is amazing, but it's also I was sure I was going to compete at Sheffield with that first place.
Mm,
So it's
mm.
a lot on the line. And on the other side, it's something where a lot of people say, hey, that's amazing. But I'm like, I don't even know what we're talking about. World Games. I've never seen any World Games. I don't know what it's about. I know nothing about it, basically. But that was Team France's whole goal for Worlds this year. It was to qualify as many athletes as possible for the World Games. And that's why things played out the way they played out for me on my second and last pool at Worlds.
You can see where for them, you're probably their biggest star. And for them, if you don't go to World Games and they really want a representation of World Games, they go back home. It's like, how the fudge did you have Pana and not get him to Worlds or World Games? Sorry. And they would be like, man, we gambled for the overall win, and
Yeah.
if he missed, he doesn't even go on the podium. And they'd
No,
be like,
they have.
how? He's a two-time world champ. You couldn't even get him bronze. They'd be. It's tough. I understand it's tough.
Yeah,
Would
I really want to emphasize, I don't want to put blame on the French team, French Federation, because, I wouldn't be here without them. So it's not really about
right.
that. It's more so about I clearly said, this is what I want. And
Mm,
what I wanted wasn't in alignment with what they wanted. And I
mm,
think as athletes, the more and more the sport is getting professionalized, the more as an athlete you have to realize that that can happen sometimes. When you're playing for a team and you want to play for them, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to trade you," they don't ask you. They trade you nonetheless, no matter
it's
what
true.
how your feelings are. And if at some point you're like, "Hey, I want to play this game," and they're like, "No, you're not playing because we want this guy to play instead of you," you don't get your say. So it's funny because with powerlifting we're not used to that. It's like, oh, I want to load 280, and right now it's more so like you said about, hey, maybe we have some people that are going to ask us questions, and if we're not able to give them proper answers, we might be into trouble ourselves. So I just
Mm,
wanted to make it clear to emphasize, have zero, resentment towards the French Federation. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I'm more than happy to be on board with them. It's more so my own personal wants, feelings weren't in alignment with their plan, and their plan
mm.
is what ended up mattering most for them, which, makes sense again.
All will be well if you end up going to Sheffield and competing
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you get World Games.
Yeah.
You're like,
So
all
I
right,
was
buddy.
like, no matter what happens, so I'll go into specifics, but this loss at Worlds to me, um, it means much more than just losing the world title. And when I say much more, it's like character changing more with what happened and with my loss at Worlds. So I really want to, and I will have, another round at it at the World Games with the exact same individuals that beat me at Worlds, so being Garcia and Kasemsan. So that's something that, relieves me. I'm like, no matter what happens in August, we'll all cross roads again, no matter what
Hmm.
happens. But I was like, if I can cross away with one of them prior to that to at Sheffield, obviously Kasemsan being the world champion now, I'm not going to pass on that opportunity. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, the rematch between the three you at World Games is going to be amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And at this point, no 66 has ever won three world titles.
Yeah.
And no 66 has ever won two world titles in a world games. So whether or not you win a world title again or this upcoming year or a world two world titles and a world games, you will still be ahead of every other 66 in history in
Yeah.
terms of your resume. So 2025 is going to be pivotal for you, and that's good. And you'll
Yeah.
have another kick at the can also for Sheffield, and we'll see what happens at Sheffield. So let's talk a little bit about. We got a lot to unpack. There's a lot of things here, but obviously, talking about the 66s in Sheffield, it was announced that Kjell will be moving down. What are your thoughts on Kjell moving down? Tons of hype on him. As soon as he made the announcement, people like Perk, who is best lifter at Worlds, is like, all right, he won. That's what Perk said in the comments. He won. What do you think a monster like Kjell moving down to 66?
Um, so I'll start by saying this. So none of what I'm going to say is going to be um, portrayed in a wrong way. Kjell is like a monster. Obviously, won worlds twice in a row, I think.
Yeah, he won. He's won in equipment, out of equipment. He's won world games, world
Yeah, so
records, and three. Yeah,
very like very strong athlete, very inspiring athlete also because he's not in his 20s anymore and he still lifts at the very very high level. So very very impressive, very inspiring. But at the same time, I don't get the hype around him saying he's going to compete at 66 because he never did it. It's like I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm going to cut down to 59 for Sheffield, and then I'm going to total 700, and I'm going to beat everybody by a landslide, by a milestone. And I'm
is
like,
that
yeah,
your
but
announcement, dude?
yeah, exactly.
You're
You know,
cutting to
it's easy to
59 for
say.
Sheffield.
No, it's
I'm
the same.
clipping
Like,
this.
I could say it. I could say, hey, I'm going to cut down to 59 for Sheffield. So I'll be honest, I think it's interesting, obviously, but I don't get why people are like acting as if it's already done. Because you have to
Mm.
cut down to 66. You have to train at a lower body weight. He probably has to train in a caloric deficit, which is not the same as training when you're in a caloric surplus and you don't have to care about all of that. Like the recovery is not the same, the rate of injury is not the same, um, all of those things. So I'm eager to see what he's going to do. I really can't wait to see that happen. In a way, I'm hyped, but I don't get why people act as if he already did it when he didn't. Because it's not just he didn't do this total, whatever. He's never weighed this weight in his whole life. Maybe when he was 12, I don't know. But you know what? You get my point, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so it's like and when I say I'm cutting down to 66, people are like, oh, the crazy weight cut, it always affects Pana, whatever. And now people are expecting that Kjell is going to cut down to 66 and he's going to total above what he was totaling as a 74. So there's a problem somewhere.
Hmm. It is. So I'm
I don't
excited,
get
but I
that.
get what you're saying.
I don't get why people go to me and be like, oh, Pana, you're cutting too much weight and it always affects your performances. And people expect that Kjell is going to cut down to 66, thing that he never has done once in his powerlifting career, and also total more of what he's ever totaled. So basically, if he does that, he's an alien, he's one of the GOATs. He can probably retire at that given moment. It's probably best to retire because he probably cannot top that off. That's, you know, one of the highest achievement in powerlifting. But I'm like not sure it's going to happen this way.
It is extremely interesting because we've seen Agatha move down in Sheffield, and for some reason, she cut and totaled more. Now that's very rare. I agree with you. That like is very rare to cut down total. I don't think Shell's going to total more. I can't see that. But he's got a big chunk. He's in like 815 or something. So I don't know how much is. Oh, he's got to make weight too. To your point, he even
He's
has
got
to
to make
make
weight.
weight. I mean, if he doesn't make weight, he could still lift, but it's not a 66. He's going to be a super light 74, which doesn't, what does it matter how light of a 74 you are? You got to be a 66. If you're not a 66, what are we talking about?
And you also know the same as me when the top guys from the USAPL, which were 67.5, it's not the same. It's those last kilo, like the last kilo, the last couple hundreds of grams, those are what's the hardest part to achieve. Like, so to give just a quick example, I can weight cut to 67.5 without having to sweat, without having to do sauna, without having to do hot bath, speeding, none of that. That can just be my normal weight. And if I have to cut down to this weight, I can probably move at 72, 73 kilos body weight and then do that cut. So cutting down to 66 on the dot, it's not
Mm.
the same. And if it was so easy to cut down from 74 to 66, then some other 74s would have done it already. That's my take on it. I think other guys would have had done it because they're like, hey, I'm at 760 whatever. If I cut down and I can maintain 720, 725, I'm above the world record. So I think it's not going to be. So I'll be honest. I've seen the announcement on the Sheffield page and everything, but I don't have the full background story. I don't know how easy he thinks the weight cut will be, or his team thinks the weight cut will be. But if they think it's going to be easy, I'm like, you probably want to prepare a bit more because it's definitely not going to be easy.
Does create a lot of discussion around the 66s, which is
Yeah.
good.
Which is good, which is really good.
Yeah. It's got people excited. It's got people talking. The worst thing you can have is people aren't talking. You got
Yeah.
tons of people
But
talking.
people already talk about the 66s. It's just going to add some
More
some
flavor.
fuel, yeah, some fuel to the fire. And like I'll be honest, um, even if he makes weight and totals 750 something, that's amazing. That's far above what we're currently doing as 66s.
Mm.
And I want to double down on something. So I just totaled like 713 at French nationals, and people like, yeah, like enjoy the unofficial world record as you can, while you can, because in January it will be way above that, way above that. Let's say it happens. Let's say Kjell does 760 whatever. Amazing. You think I'm going to be like, ah, it's done for me. Ah, there's no way I'll do that. No, I'll be like, oh, he did it. Then why couldn't I do it also? If he
Mm.
shows it's possible to do 760, 770 as a 66, which I think is possible, then it will drive me to become stronger, to become better. It will only be motivation for me, 100%. And which is why, like right now, um, I I've been, announced first replacement for Sheffield. In my head, I'm going against Kjell, who is going to do 760. So you think I'm going to train aiming for 720? No, I'm going to train aiming for 760. And that's the package I want to bring at Sheffield if I get to compete.
How do you approach this? Because it's on the fringe. We talked about this, me and you, and I was telling you again. I've been commentating a long time. Almost every single world championships, at least one of the big guns doesn't make it, and someone in an alternate team either steps up, or if it's from a country that doesn't have a big name, they just have a hole in one of those battles, whether it's 93s, 83s, or whatever. I've seen it. I've seen people come in as alternates like LS McLean and win worlds. Every year, at least some people don't make it. I don't got to tell you, this year, it was France versus USA in the 57s, and Natalie didn't make it. It always happens. It's just part of sports. You get injuries. We haven't seen it at Sheffield yet. It is going to happen at some point. It is not possible that we're never going to have a Sheffield and not experience this. It's going to be a luck of the draw. How do you approach this mentally, training wise, motivation wise, when it's a possibility? And if you get the call, you want to be ready
Yeah.
because everybody, there's no hiding. You're too big. How do you approach this?
So I would say never count me out. Never. Um, Before I said yes, when they asked me to be the replacement, I gave it this a thought. Because in my head, if I say yes, then I'm competing. Then I'm going to compete at Sheffield, no matter what. and they will have to force me not to step on the platform or not to compete.
You got your singlet on, Team
I'll
France. I'm
be
like, holy
ready.
shit.
Man,
Holy shit.
I'll be ready. I'll be in the backstage. I'll be warming up until this last moment, and then they're going to have security to stop me from stepping on the platform. But
You'll be watching the warm ups. You're like, man, Russ looks a little tight. He looks a little tight. I don't know. I'm ready. You're watching his warm ups until he steps on the platform. I'm ready because I got a feeling he's a little fucking tight. His hamstring looks tight. Pay attention. Pay attention.
All jokes aside, I decided in my head if I was going to say yes, I was going to commit to the prep up until the very last moment. So maybe let's say 3 days out, I'll be like, okay, I'm not competing. But up until that moment, I'll be ready.
You know what? After seeing Pedersen in the 93s barely make his flight in time, right from the plane, barely, I don't even think 3 days out you could take the foot off the gas. I think literally
I agree.
day of you
I
looking
agree.
around, everybody here,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah, I
here.
agree. Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. Yeah, that's the way I'm going to do it. It's and some people, because I talked about it with my close friends, and they were like, yeah, but you're going to into this prep, and maybe at the end you won't get to compete, and maybe it will frustrate you. And I'm like, yeah, it will probably frustrate me in a way, but also the fact that I'm going to do this prep will force me to become stronger, and I will need that stronger version of myself for Worlds. So it's just training harder, sooner, with a better motivation. Because right now, my next comp, if I don't compete at Sheffield, it's Euros in March. And obviously Euros matters a lot to me, and I want to like get the title as a 66 there, obviously. But at the same time, that's not it's not the same motivation and drive to become and hunger to become stronger as say, hey, you're going to compete at Sheffield against Kjell and against Kasemsan. Again, Kjell, like we'll have to see if he makes weight and what levels he brings up, etc. But at least against Kasemsan, which I think is a very, very, very strong 66. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go against the world champ. Might as well be stronger. Might as well be ready. And so if I don't get to compete, in my head, it's not going to waste. I'm stronger after the Sheffield prep. That's a good position to be in order to prep for Worlds and World Games.
Dude, Kasim San and Shell could look at you at Sheffield because you'll be there, first off.
Yeah.
Another thing is you'll be there for all the media engagements, all the meet and greets, the banquet, the whole nine. Like it's not, there's also that piece which I mean it's a life moment. But they look at you and one of them or both of them are like, get ready. And you could reply back straight
Oh,
face, dead honest, and say, I'm ready right now. I'm ready right now.
sure.
We got the warm up room, Playboy.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
No,
We do.
I'll grind out, but let's do this. You know,
Yes,
don't
sir.
tempt me. And you'll actually be ready right there
Yeah.
on the spot. Do you think you would hit like a big ass gym SBD day total
Yeah,
if you get prepped?
yeah, I will. Maybe there, maybe let's say a couple of days out, I learned that it's not going to happen. Maybe I hit it at that moment. We'll see what happens, but definitely that's the way I approach training. And like I said, if I said yes right now in my head, I'm not waiting another message from SBD. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, I'll be ready for the replacement if at some point that has to happen. So I'm already back to training. I'm like already full on 100% full prep mode, getting ready for Sheffield.
Yeah, honestly, don't do it a couple days before. You do a couple days after only. I'm telling you, day of shit
Yeah,
happens, man.
yeah, maybe,
People's
maybe.
flights, people get sick.
Yeah.
You remember Taylor barfing and everything got sick. He lifted anyways, but like weird things happen, man.
Yeah,
Right
but I
up.
don't think athletes from that caliber will drop out for, whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like in 2022, remember when in South Africa I had COVID, I had my back tweak 1 week before Worlds, I still competed because that's those champions, the athletes present at Sheffield, all of them, their caliber, like champion caliber
Dog,
athlete.
Natalie Richards pulled out of Worlds and she was at Sheffield in Worlds and World's Best lifter. It happens, man.
Yeah, I don't
Just stay
know.
ready. Get ready mentally.
Yeah,
It can happen.
I'll be ready, no matter
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Maybe if you see me a couple of days before, stop me from hitting the
That's
my
right. I'm like easy, easy, easy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean I know it is because like we see this a lot in other sports like MMA. The UFC does this often and has backup fighters at the highest level.
yeah,
And it's still going to be it'll be fun having you there anyways. You have other obligations that you thought you might be doing with Turbo Tiff.
yeah.
How is that going to work now?
Yeah, so basically before I said yes, I wanted to have that conversation with Tiff because I'm her coach. Uh I was I had to be and I wanted to be her handler for Sheffield, like it was the case the first in the first edition. Not the second because I competed. And yeah, so I talked about it with her, and she was like, "No, you have to say yes. Don't even think about me, and we'll figure a solution out." And so yeah, so if I don't compete on the day of, I'll probably be handling Tiff. Well, I'll be handling Tiff if I don't compete, and if I do compete, then we'll have to find a solution, somebody to handle her, somebody close that knows her, that she trusts, and we'll figure something out. That's also one of the reasons as to why I wanted to think about it before saying yes, and after discussing that matter with her, she agreed, and now we'll have to see.
How motivated is Turbo Tiff after
Oh,
seeing Jessica Espinal break the
she's
world
motivated.
record at Junior Worlds?
She's motivated. You know, I'll be honest. Before Worlds this year, I sat down and I have had a conversation with Tiff, and I told her, if this year you're not 100%, you're not going to win. Because the previous years, she could go in 90% and still win.
Mm.
And this year, I told her, hey, given Jessica's rate of progression, if you're not 100%, we're not going to win this time. So I'm glad she did a tremendous prep, especially on squats and bench. Hit crazy numbers in the gym, which reassured us with regards to our plan, because obviously Jessica is the puller, so we knew we needed a big subtotal in order to be too far off for her to outpull us. And now the plan obviously is we know Tiffany's strength, which is like her squat and her bench. And I think in general, more and more, the sport is getting so deep that right now you cannot have one like lacking movement. You cannot be like Garcia in my weight class. He squats like crazy, he benches like crazy, but because he's not a very good puller, then he gets outpulled and goes from first to second or even third. Um, so it's kind of the same situation with Tiff, and now our goal is to actually make her a decent puller, make her a better puller, so that we have the weapons to fight back.
What were your thoughts on that wild card selection for the women's? Turbo Tiff probably wouldn't have mind having some opposition there. It makes it a little spicier.
I think it was a good wildcard choice. Jessica would have been a very good one, despite her performance at Worlds that got her the world record total. I think it would have been a good wildcard because it was very very close with Tiff and Jess. So I think this would have been good for the sport, and also in general, it would have been good for Tiff because now it's like she knows she's not going to have a direct opposition against her at Sheffield. Although it's like all of the champions against each other, it's not the same to have somebody in your weight class that you can look in the eyes and be like, "I'm going to beat you." It's not the
Hmm.
same. So it would have been good. Now, obviously, the wild cards are what they are, and either way, it's the same with like myself and Kasemsan and Garcia. We're all going to face again at Worlds, so it's just a matter of time.
And what do you think about Alba Bostrom getting it for the 63s and Leah moving down now to the 63s and re-emerging there? because she was never fully a 69. She
Yeah.
never really filled out. She didn't even fill out 69, let alone cut to 69. It seemed almost inevitable she was going to come back down at some point. So what are your thoughts on this battle of 63s? Leah moving down to 63 again. And how is Leah doing? Because I know she's coming back from an injury as well.
Yeah. Is Carola going to compete at 63? Or she didn't
No, she is
announce it?
not. Staying 69. She's going to hold it down.
Did she announce it?
This is what she told me. She did not announce it, but she said she's staying 69, but it could change. You're right.
I'd
I'm
be
going to have her on
surprised.
the podcast at some point.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if she doesn't cut down. Cut down.
Really?
Yeah, because the 69 record is Agatha, right?
Let me check something right now. Hang on a sec. I
Because
know I asked her.
I'll tell you what I think. I think right now the 69 kilo record is Agatha's, and I think it's probably out of the equation besides her hitting it again. So I
Right.
think what Corolla could do is she cuts down 63, competes with Leah and Alba, and um, even like no matter what happens, it's probably the record that's going to be beaten the like quote unquote most, I would say.
Hey, listen. She said, I'm going to have her on the podcast
Yeah.
shortly in between now and Sheffield. But I straight up said, will you be 69 kilos for Sheffield or 63? I wanted to come confirm. She said, Ryan, yes, I will be competing in 69.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the Italians, they never post. They never show their cards. You know what I mean?
They're sneaky.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised she doesn't want anybody to know, and then the day off she shows up 63
Here's
ready.
another thing. Here's another thing. Like, people change their mind. She
Also,
might
yeah.
not have even been sneaky. She might have been like,
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
because that was not super long after Worlds, still the summertime. And as we get a little closer, she might be like, you know what?
Yeah,
What the heck? I could
because
still
the
make
63
63.
record is 550 something, right?
550, 650, no, five, sorry, 650, 557.5.
And then the 69 is 600.
Yeah.
Even let's say no matter what happens, let's say she even gets beaten by Leah and Alba. If they all do like 580 something, they're probably podium finishers at Sheffield.
Sure. Bigger money,
Yeah,
higher up the rankings, maybe hit the
exactly.
podium.
Yeah. So I'd say it's probably going to be the biggest battle at Sheffield because on the women's side, Tiff, Evie, they don't have direct opposition. Same with Jad. Um, 70, we don't know what Agatha is going to do. 69,
69. She said
probably.
69.
Unless Carola wants, a rematch, which could be the case. I don't see her winning that rematch.
Hey, let's call it what it is, man.
I'm not,
That's
I'm
a,
not a gambler, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't gamble of that on that. Carlina wouldn't have any opposition, 76. Um, Probably the same with Amanda. So
Dude,
yeah,
this is very much stacked in the 63s. If
yeah, I think
Gara
this
moves to 63, you have
that's
Meg, you have the reigning
oh
world
yeah,
champion Meg, you have the reigning junior champ in Alba, who out totaled the same total that won Open Worlds. So Alba is legit. Meg is obviously legit. Leah, two division world champ, who's a former world champ in 63, and then Gara, who's a champ, two different divisions in equipment, out of equipment, world games, in a former 63. It's already the greatest 63 without Gara. It's the greatest
yeah,
63 kilo battle we've ever seen. If Gara moves down, what are we talking about?
yeah.
That's
Because
crazy.
I don't see why she wouldn't. And again, unless she thinks she can go head to head with Agatha, which maybe her training's going crazy and she'll do something insane. You
Agata
know,
did at 71 kilos or whatever. Agata did 627.
yeah, I've seen it.
Look,
Yeah, that would
like
be
she's Agata is it's a whole nother level,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree.
Like if
I agree.
Gara Yeah,
Which
like
I think the safest thing to do and probably the most interesting thing to do is her to go down to 63. And again, even if she doesn't win the matchup, if they all do 570 something, they're top finishers, probably.
I want to, you know what? I'm going to have her back on the podcast and I'll press her face to face like this and be like,
Don't
come on.
say it's coming from me though, because I don't want
Yeah,
any problems.
it sounds, yeah. I'll be like, come on. Who are you kidding? Don't be sneaky. Don't be sneaky.
Yeah,
We know
totally.
you're going 63, but it absolutely makes sense. And how about those freaking 83s?
Oh,
Holy freaking smokes,
yeah.
man.
You know, before that, I just want to give a quick shout out publicly. He's my inspiration into powerlifting. I think he's still the GOAT, no matter what people say. But Taylor Atwood,
I was going to ask you
he-
about that anyways, but let's talk
uh,
about it. Let's dive in. This isn't just a shout out. Let's dive in.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
holy smokes. Taylor came back. He
yeah,
dropped the fire podcast. He came on. And whole dude, so me and Agatha were talking, and she was like, man, I got into powerlifting. I missed his 2021 performance when it was 838, and he was like the guy. He had
yeah,
every single formula, world record, he had every title, he had everything. She's like, I missed it. And she's like, he's back. And we were talking, and she's like, I gotta go watch this live stream. And for a lot of people who are younger, they missed Taylor's prime and now they're taking it in like, holy shit.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, it was amazing.
So, you know, when he in 2020 or 2021, I can't remember, when he did like that 800 total, which was unheard
2021.
of as a
Mhm.
74, I didn't sleep that night because I was like, it was eye-opening. You know what I mean? It was, this is what a human is capable to achieve. So you know, it's like when the guy run like I can't remember how many miles before under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It was believed to be impossible to do, and then he did it. And to me, Taylor opened the door for everybody. Like, and I think what you probably asked Perk, if Taylor didn't open the door, Perk wouldn't probably be in this position today. Perk is here today because Taylor paved the way. He said, "Hey, this is what we can do." And obviously, then at some point, somebody else with a bit more talent, with a bit more whatever, is going to come and do something. And that was Perk. Um, so yeah, I was so hyped to see Taylor back. I sent him the biggest fanboy message, and I'm not ashamed of it. I own I own the fanboy message I sent him. But yeah, Taylor was also my inspiration when I started powerlifting, and seeing a guy face off what he faced, face off also a lot of doubts, a lot of it's not necessarily a bad thing to have doubters, um, because it's like in MMA, you're as good as your last fight. If in your last fight you schooled somebody, people are like, oh, he's the GOAT. And if you got schooled, people are like, oh, he's washed out. Nobody care about you anymore. And, Taylor, he didn't do any, very, very bad performance, but like against Berg, for instance, his performances weren't, you know, in that scenario, in that discussion. So now seeing him shut everybody down and be like, hey, I'm still that guy. That was a feel good moment for me.
18 months he hadn't competed. 18 months. And he was
Yeah.
posting lifts that were like far below what you would expect from
Oh,
Taylor
100%.
Atwood
Yeah.
for forever. And
Yeah.
he'd be injured and then injured again and then injured again. And people were like, he's as done gets. And it wasn't like he's 25 and you're like, come on, he's 25. He'll be back. He's 35, 36, father, full time job, 18 months didn't compete. And last time we saw him compete was Sheffield. No, sorry, was Worlds. And he came in third. And we do not see Taylor Atwood come in third. Time before that was Sheffield. And again, he was entirely human, below 800 kilos, both of those. And so he hadn't competed in 18 months. And then when we did see him compete back to back, not the performances we wanted. So the amount of doubt and the amount of piling up on top of Taylor leading into this. And then when he, for the last like 3 weeks of this prep, the weight started shifting, and he posted a 320 kilo deadlift. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, what the hell is going on here? And then they
Yeah.
went back and started comparing his 320 to his 325 before he did 838.5 in 2021. And all of a sudden, people are like, holy shit. If that moved in comparison, he's probably in the 830s like he was previously. And here he is at 830. And if you've seen it, like not you, obviously you did, but anyone listening, his squat had so much room. His bench had so much room. The deadlift even had room. Like there was room on everything. He was like 850 on that day, but they didn't want to re-aggravate anything. Take it cool, take it easy. Don't get too crazy. Stay in the pocket. This is your comeback meet. Last thing you want is to have something weird go on in squats, and then everybody's gonna gang up on you and be like, "See, I told you he's washed." But interesting enough, Taylor moved up to 83. 83 is like freaking the hottest division right now in powerlifting. It's crazy. And he was talking about on the podcast. He's like, man, I swear to God, the week of, I had to change. He like tweaked his shoulder squatting because usually his hands are so much closer because he's a smaller human being. Like 9 kilos is a lot of body weight for a guy who's 5'6". So his hands are like, so he's so jumbled up and tight, he hurt his shoulder, realizing, oh, not only that, he would have his thumb wrapped around the bar. And the bigger guys take their thumb and go thumbless. The bigger the weight class is, the less and less people you see with the thumb wrapped around the bar. You have
Yeah.
to go thumbless just to alleviate pressure on the shoulders because you're a bigger human being. If you're going low bar or behind there, you can't do it. And Taylor's like, I'm still learning, I'm relearning how to squat as a 83 kilo guy. Like it's not normal for him. So he's still got improvement. That's why he didn't go all out. He's finding himself at 35. He's
Yeah.
reinvigorated and like a new human being. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but he's almost got nothing to lose. He's
Yeah,
already the
exactly.
GOAT.
Yeah. And, you know, just like what he did, obviously it's not too like comparable right now to like what Russ, Durance, Ade, Joe, like those guys are doing, but it's very, very close. Like it's on the door. And also, like you said, he didn't go all out. So, you know, it
He would
begs the
have like
question.
850.
Yeah, it begs the question. Like if he goes all out, he's probably up there with them. So it's more so, you know, I really want hope and wish he does well, physically speaking, and he's able to get to compete at like U.S. nationals, and you know that will probably be the biggest 83 kilo session of all time by far,
Yeah.
by far.
Dude, people were saying,
Delaney, Taylor, Joe, Russ.
well, here's the thing. Because Russ is at Sheffield, he might not do American Nationals in April. He might. It's
But what
January to
happens?
April. You got time.
But what happens if one of them does better than what he did at Sheffield?
He's not going to Worlds. He'll go to World Games because that's
Yeah.
solidified, but he won't go to Worlds. That's why. So I'll have Russ on the podcast a little closer to Sheffield, but that's what the plan was, anyways. Plans can change. But January to April, he would have time to turn it around.
Oh yeah.
You could turn it around. Your
Yeah.
central nervous system, you do that easy.
Yeah.
But some people don't turn it around quite as quick. So it kind of depends.
Okay.
But I don't know, dude. Can you imagine Taylor versus Russ? Two
Versus.
goats versus the young guns as well, versus everyone else, Delaney and Joe and whatever. But Taylor versus Russ, we've
Oh.
been waiting for
Oh
years.
yeah, 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 yeah.
For
I remember
years.
Squat Meme Deadlift posted a meme where there's like the killer, and there's a
Yeah.
door
The Grim
75
Reaper.
kg. Yeah, there's the Reaper, and then you have a lot of blood, and then he's going to knock on the 83 kg door. And I think he posted that in 2021 when Taylor did the 830 something total, and now he reposted it some days ago, and he was like, "Hey, what was I saying?"
It's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
It's on. But now you got some young dudes like Joe Bornstein who are in at a who are all in the 860s now, and they're like, we're looking at 900.
Yeah.
The thing is, Taylor on the podcast is like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So am I.
Yeah.
He's not blinking.
You know,
Taylor's like, you think I'm playing games?
that's the mentality. It's the same with like with me and people talking to me about like Kjell, oh, if he does 760, or if he does that, that's what I'm going to aim for too. It's not, there's not a single athlete competing at the level we're competing at, like the Russ, the Taylor, even Kjell himself. It's like when he knew he was going against Taylor, he wasn't, oh, I'm going to, he was like, oh, I'm going to go against him. I'm going to show him. And all of us, we all think the same. If somebody at some point does something, we're like, oh, time to step up my game, time to become stronger. It's all the same. So, obviously Taylor Atwood will tell you that. That would be his answer.
Yeah. That's exactly what you'd expect from Taylor Atwood. It doesn't matter how old you get.
Yeah.
It's funny because when he was in his prime, he was boastful, he was cocky, and he rubbed some people the wrong way. And he
Yeah.
looks back now and he's like, man, I let my ego get the best of me sometimes. Like I went out of pocket. I carried myself in certain ways. He doesn't he's like he was describing it. He's like, he can't be that way now. He's a father. He's like a little older and not that this is a long time ago. He was
Yeah.
in his 30s still when he was in his prime like that. However, life humbled him with back-to-back tough defeats. 18 months of not like life will humble you and teach you lessons. And
Yeah.
now that he's back and he's thought it was gone, he was like, it's like a second wave that came through, and you just view everything differently. And now you have these young guys like Bornstein who are 21, and it's just the game looks different and he feels different. And he looks back now and he's like, I let my ego get me. I said things, I freaking did things. He's like, he's like, I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is. But I tell him, Taylor, we got to watch both now. It's good to see someone progress. It's cool to see someone mature as an athlete and a person.
Yeah.
Start off one way and end up another.
Yeah. The thing is, like Taylor, when he started, he almost immediately won. Almost. And like if you compare that to my own personal experience, it's not the same. Like I faced harder meets before, and you learn from that, obviously. But then you also learn from being the best for a given year or 2 years or whatever. So I would say it's part of every athlete's journey. When you're chasing greatness, sometimes you'll fall short. But the thing is, when you fall short and you're once or twice world champion, people don't see it the same way, you know.
Mm.
Which it's like for me at Worlds this year, it's a fell from grace that from my own personal self. Maybe some people don't view it that way for me, but me personally, I view it that way. I'm like, I lost. I shouldn't have lost. I should have won, but I didn't. Now, what do I change and how do I bounce back from that?
Something that obviously Taylor's moved up, Kjell's moved down. Those two guys are rivals at 74. It's kind of funny because talking to Taylor about it, at one point, 74 kilo class had killers. And then Taylor leaves, Kjell leaves, and Perk is like, dog, I'm by myself. He's like, oh, I'm going to
You
turn
know,
into
with
Amanda Lawrence here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
just,
with Taylor, it makes sense because like he was getting so what he said was he was getting injured, so he needed to pack on more weight, more muscle, eat
yeah.
more calories, etc. But yeah, with Kjell going down, it's more like, hey, what happened?
With, yeah, it depends. Like, I was talking to Taylor, like, who would have the better resume, you or Shell? And he was saying, I think Shell is the GOAT and has the better resume. And I'm like, I think Shell has to win at 66 to beat you in terms of GOAT status. Like, Taylor thought he's already. And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, Shell's got a crazy resume, though, because he's got the equip side. The
Yeah,
equip
but
resume is what.
I'll be honest, like the equipped side is it doesn't have the same value right now because
That's,
I would
that's
say,
true.
I would say it's who you're going up against, right? And now, if you want to win 66, you have to go up against some athletes that have participated at Worlds 5 times, won Worlds, Like in my case, um, stuff like that. But in equipped, it's like nobody's like starting equipped right now. That's not where the talent is going. So I would say, that's my own 2 cents, right? But yeah, I would say definitely Taylor has the better resume, um, because of that. Because he went up against the best of the best, unequipped for years, and we'll see what happens with Kjell, as a 66, at Sheffield and at Worlds, and can't wait. Can't wait. Now he's in my weight class.
Well, it's only you want more people, you want new people. In terms of what Taylor's done moving up to 83, have you ever thought, not for Worlds or World Games, but you do local meets, you compete often. Have you ever thought sometime coming in at like 69 to 70 kilos at a silent worker meet and just smashing some big boy weight as a big boy and just being, let's see what happens. Let's show them the SBD day gym lifts and show what happens when I don't cut. As a matter of fact, I've been eating good.
That's my plan right now.
It's
Yeah. That's my
like
current.
plan
So
for what?
no matter what
For
happens, if I get to compete at Sheffield, I'll go in as a 66, no matter what happens. Same with Worlds, same with World Games. Obviously, I qualified as a 66, so there's no shortcut. I have to compete at 66. So this year, all of the international meets I'm going to do them as a 66. But I have one local meet coming up very soon, and I'll probably do that as a light 74. So no cutting weight, no nothing.
how soon are we talking? You just competed like yesterday and you got Sheffield on your agenda.
1 month,
Really, dude,
early December.
you compete like every other day.
Yeah. But
It's
it's
great.
so I've already talked about it, but every Saturday I do an SBD session, singles. So it's just going to be my end of block SBD session. And also because I don't go wait for these coming meets, you know, doesn't change anything. But yeah,
So
that's you
oh,
spoiled one
let's go.
my
Let's get it out there. And you're cutting the 59 for Sheffield, which is
exactly.
amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't.
And I'm going to total 720 as a 59
It's
at Sheffield.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Really,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe 800. You don't know.
More than what I total at French
Is that
Nationals.
right? Wow, that's
We'll have to be
amazing.
ready. Just tell Waskar to get ready.
Oscar, can you imagine? Oscar's listening is like, what the fuck? This better not be real.
Did
That's
Pana just call
ins
me out?
Yeah, he's like that. Didn't see that coming, but holy shit.
Yeah.
What's your body weight right now?
So before French Nationals, that was my heaviest body weight. Usually when I start my weight cut, so water cut for comps, I'm like around 68 something. And this
Yeah.
time I was around 69 something.
So you're still relatively
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, but 1 kilo, like in my frame, that's a lot. But this
Yeah.
time French Nationals had my best physique by far. Like in
I mean,
terms
you had
of
your best
muscle
performance
mass.
as well.
Yeah, and also had my best performance. So yeah. But yeah,
So
I'll
what do you
probably do my comp at 70.5, something like that. I'll try to put on a bit more weight. And then obviously, because it's early December, if I have to cut weight for Sheffield, I'll have time.
yeah, you got plenty of time. It's at
Yeah,
like Sheffield's at the very end of January
yeah,
anyways.
exactly. Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's my current plan, which you spoiled. So I'll be competing as a light 74 early December.
Dude, Brig, I'm interested in seeing what you do. How you
Yeah,
feeling? How's the body feeling right now?
not too bad. Honestly, I had my best prep um, forever for French nationals, which was good to have a prep where I don't have to deal with any injury. I could just go full out, train like crazy. I think I also learned my lessons from my previous preps. And the thing is, before I was going too hard, too heavy, and then coming like because I was cutting weight, I was more easily getting injured. like before Worlds or stuff like that. And because of that, I got afraid, quote unquote, and I went the other way. So maybe not pushing enough because when I was getting close to a comp. And with the way my body works, if I don't push myself, I don't get stronger. So for this prep, I wanted to find the right balance. So pushing harder in order to get stronger, but also not pushing too much, especially getting close to the comp where I wouldn't be able to compete 100% because I was like physically injured. So yeah, not too bad with what happened. Right now, I feel 100%. I feel healthy, which is why I already started my prep for Sheffield if I get to compete. But yeah, I feel good. I feel good.
I mean, you at like 70 kilos, injury free, feeling good.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting because if you could post up a decent total, if you post up a total like we've seen you post up in the gym,
yeah,
that would be the total, and it's official though.
yeah. Oh,
So
it
you know
is.
what? I'm surprised you haven't done something like this before. Do like a 70 kilo Pana.
I think the reason as to why I didn't do it is because I wanted to refine my cutting strategies.
Mm,
And the thing is, if you cut just once a year or twice, you don't get enough experience, I would say. So right now, I'm very, very confident in my ability to cut weight. So which is why I don't care about doing meets where I don't cut weight anymore because I have refined my strategies over time. And if I didn't do all of those meets as a 66, because last year I competed, I think, 6 times as a 66 between Worlds, Sheffield, Euros, Salon Worker meet, not French Nationals. There is another meet I'm forgetting, which I cut weight to 66 in order to compete at. Without all of those meets, I wouldn't have been able to refine my weight cutting strategies as a coach, but also experiencing them as an athlete. Because following a protocol is something when you're cutting weight, uh, experiencing the weight cuts, how it affects you, how it affects your body, the way you feel, the way you brace in your belt, for instance, when you go to squat or whatever, completely different. So I wanted to get a lot of experience, and now that I got that experience, I will allow myself to compete at higher body weights.
have some fun every now and then and just be like,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. We're gonna make some of these gymless official. We're gonna
exactly.
be
Yeah,
70 kilos and post up a big ass total.
yeah, exactly. So that's my plan for this year. Do one or maybe two meets as a light 74. Do my meets as a 66 that I have to. So basically, Sheffield, if my replacement gets done. Euros, Worlds, World Games, and then from there, I'll see. I'll see what happens. I'll see how I feel. I'll see what numbers I put up as a light 74, as a 66, and I'll decide from there.
Was it? How did you view French nationals for you? Doing 713, what was the goals? Was this like a moment for some redemption for you? You seemed obviously super hyped up in the videos.
Yeah, I was. Um, so, it's I would say it's for me was a step in the right direction. Um, After Worlds, like this loss at Worlds, man, people don't realize. Sometimes I was waking up at night realizing, oh, I let go of the deadlift that would have given me the victory. Like months later, I'm talking to you like September. I would wake up being upset as if it happened yesterday. And then I would,
Really?
yeah, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep for 2 hours. I would stay up like 12, 1 a.m., like watching the ceiling, realizing I let go of the deadlift that would have given me victory. And for me, it wasn't just victory, it was victory for my dad. I wanted to dedicate that win to him because, of his situation with his illness, with everything. It was so important for me to win, like so important. So, I needed to have a good comp. It's not really redemption. I wouldn't call it redemption because I will get my redemption when I beat the guys that beat me. I will get my redemption when I reclaim my world title. So I wouldn't call it redemption, but I needed to have a good meet to prove myself that everything that I'm doing is pushing me forward. That all of those steps are steps in the right direction. So yeah, so that was important for me.
I won't, I don't think I'll ever forget. We were hanging out at Worlds in Lithuania in front of, on the deck by some restaurant. Leah was there, Pichu was there. We were all there like till freaking the wee hours of the morning. And Pichu was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." Like we were talking about, you guys all good because you guys all compete. How you feeling? Because all you guys are contenders, and you three had lost. But all you guys are in the hunt for those titles. How are you feeling? Peaches like, I'm all right, man. It's all good. I'll be back. Leah's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. And then you were like, um, yeah, no, it hurt. And then someone's like, did you cry? And you're like, yeah, I cried. And then Leah's like, you cried? And you said, you didn't? And it was like, shit. You kind of turned around like, you don't want it as much as me?
Yeah,
You didn't believe, or what's going on? Did you accept the feat too early? I'm still haven't accepted it, and it's already happened, and it's already over.
yeah,
I, yeah, yeah. I cried, and I'm still dealing. And you just came on the podcast saying, "I'll tell you what." Months later, I still wake up like I just missed that deadlift, and I'm
yeah.
still like, you know,
I,
it's
I, I haven't gone over it. I'll be honest with you, I haven't. Um, how could I? You know, it's I'm trying to accomplish this for myself, for my family, for my parents, and I do feel I failed them when I missed that deadlift. So yeah, I cried. I cried like a baby. Mind you, my dad came to me and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to see you cry." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the only.
hey,
That's
you
what
cried
comes
when you
out
won
of me."
too.
Sorry.
You cried when you won.
Yeah, I cried
It
when
is
I
what it is,
win. I
man.
cried when
It's life.
I lose. But you know, it's yeah. So I cried, and I'm telling you right now, I still haven't processed all of that. Sometimes I still go to train angry, being like, "Hey, you failed yourself once, never do it again." So yeah, so it's still tough. And again, I think I probably told you why. I don't even know if I told you, but that hurts a lot. Um, because unfortunately for me, um, something I'll never be able to do something I wanted to do. Never again in my lifetime. That's probably why it sucks even more.
You did
I
tell
had to
me.
do, yeah, I
And
had to do something and I didn't.
here's the thing, you have done things in your lifetime.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, here's what life is. Mike Tyson had an amazing, he had a conversation with somebody on the podcast. You know what? Fuck it. Let me pull this clip. Do you hear this video in the background, by the way? In my background?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Hear that noise? Okay, good. I was starting and I put my cat out of the room. I put these cheesy YouTube cat videos to keep him distracted, and there's like birds chirping and everything. So
No,
I'm
I don't hear anything.
he loves his programs, buddy. I keep him busy. I'm gonna pull up this video, Mike Tyson, and then me and you, I'll tell you what I was gonna say. Let me see if I could find. Here it is. Fuck. This thing gives me chills, Playboy. Let me pull this up. I'm gonna share the screen. You see that, sir?
Yeah.
So essentially, what I was saying is like, you want everything. You want to win every world championships. You want every moment possible. You want, and when you miss, you tell yourself like, I can never go back and get that moment again.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the moments you had, the only reason why they're as sweet as they are is because you're not operating life in God mode. Like in video games, you have God mode where you can't
Yeah.
be hurt, you can't be killed, and life would be meaningless. That's what Mike Tyson was saying. The reason why life is beautiful, because if you have the 1% chance of getting that moment, it's like holy shit, it happened. Like 2023 Malta, that moment, that perfect stars align. You're the underdog, fourth place. Your dad was there for it. Nobody thought you were going to win. That moment, the reason why that was beautiful is because it may never happen again.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
a finite moment that even if you did it all over again, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Even if you won in 2024, it'll never be Malta. And that's why life is actually beautiful. And times come, times go, situations come, situations go, moments come, moments go, and you have to let it go. And you can never go back. And will always be like, I wish I did this. I wish I did that when I had the moment. But the times you stepped up, like, but damn, did I have that one day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that one day.
Yeah, exactly. But it's I think it's an experience as painful as it is, it's changed and will continue to change me for the better. I don't think I'm the same guy anymore from Worlds, which was like 3 months ago. Um, because like I told you, I lost something on that day. I'm not just talking about the competition. I lost the opportunity to do something, and I'll never get this opportunity back. And now I have to live on knowing I failed this opportunity. And that's fine, because like you said, and like Mike Tyson said, it's not just going to be always uh, upwards. You're going to have your down moments, downtime times in life, and I'm okay with that, because that will force me to become better. And when I say better, I just don't mean as an athlete. I mean as a human being in general. So yeah, but that still sucks. It still sucks. I still have nightmares about it. But I do believe that those nightmares will be my strength when I need them.
That's well said too.
Yeah.
There's nothing like, you have good motivation. Motivation comes in all different forms.
Yeah.
If the sun was always shining, it's not going to be, you're not going to hustle like you would.
Yeah. So, that's why I'm like, man, I'm telling you, even if Kjell does 800 as a 66, that won't be painful compared to what I lost at Worlds. I will be like, okay, let's go. I just have to rise up to that level now. What I lost at Worlds, that's that's what I lost. That's what had the most value. I don't want to say in my life, but for me lately, that was the my main motivator lately was that, and I lost it. So yeah, now I had to go back to train. I had to show to myself I could be stronger. I needed to be stronger, and I'm happy. I'm happy because I had a good prep. I had a lot of good sessions. I was able to do my best total in comp at French nationals on like a very very high level stage. Now, obviously, is it what I wanted? No, but I know myself now. I will always want more, no matter what I do.
Mm.
Uh, but that's why I'm saying it's a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Is it the reason why you say you wake up in the middle of the night? Is it because everything attached to the win, or is it the sports angle of it, or is it like, no, I put a lot on myself for that day, and all everything that you attach to the win, and athletes do attach a lot to the sport, and this is what people don't necessarily always realize is it means more at certain moments to certain people, and sometimes are forthcoming with it, sometimes they may not, but there's things attached and motivations attached, and they get intertwined like this. So when people are like, "Man, it's weightlifting," and you're
Yeah.
like,
No,
"Wasn't to me."
no, it's not. So, um, right after I won Worlds last year in 2023, I was, it was like a dream. Like you said, the situation with my dad and everything, people being like, "Oh, there's no way Pana wins," and I win, and I dedicate the victory to my dad. I had promised to him a couple of months prior that I would win. I did it. You know, after that, my dad got sick again, another cancer. So obviously, cancer is not, you fall sick, you stay at home in your warm bed for a couple of weeks, and that's done. It's definitely not that. And I had a conversation with Anissa, who's my wife, manager, counselor, no matter, like she's like my everything basically. And I told her I was hesitating to stop everything for a year. So no competition, no social media, no YouTube, no nothing. And the reason why I wanted to stop everything was just to be with my dad. I just wanted to go to Greece, stay with him for a year, and like I don't want to say let go of everything, but put everything on hold and just spend time with him. And I really was ready to do it, and I hesitated to do it. And Anissa was like, do whatever feels right to do for you. I'll handle business. I'll do what I need to do to allow you to do it. And I I decided to not do it. I decided to continue training. I decided to continue social media, to continue YouTube, to continue everything. So for me at that moment, it's not, hey, I'm having fun, I'm training. For me, it's I'm doing this instead of being with my dad. It has to pay off. It has to have meaning. And so part of what happened at Worlds when I lost, it's I did all of that for that, and the result wasn't there. That's part of the situation. So that's why I wake up in the middle of the night. It's not because I lost. It's not just that, right? It's also this is what I sacrificed. I sacrificed spending time with my dad who's sick in order to make it happen, and it didn't. This is why I have those nightmares and I stay up in the middle of the night. And this is why I can't let go of those emotions. And this is why some days I wake up angry at myself and have to go to the gym with that feeling, with that idea in my mind of, hey, you failed your dad yourself once, don't do it again. You have to become better. You have to become stronger. Obviously I know it's probably not very, very healthy. That's who I am. That's the way I deal with things. So that's why that loss is hard to accept. And like I said, unfortunately for myself, those moments I cannot have them back. They're gone. So now I have to live with that and find a way to make it count somehow.
And it's the way we connect things in life when you're going through it. When you associate an event with
Yeah,
a person, it is what it's natural. It happens natural. You associate an event with a person, you associate something with a person, so it becomes intertwined like that.
yeah,
It becomes that. It becomes like, no, if I feel that, I feel them. If I, it's difficult necessarily. For some people, when they get a glimpse at athletes like yourself, for years you've been talking about your passion and like this is how I express myself. You see me grinding out there, you see all this crazy, you see me the when I approach the bar, the look on my face. I don't give a shit if the camera's there. This is how I was gonna do it if you were in the room or not. It's how I do it when I'm back home. This is how I express myself. And this is what I do. And If I know certain people are watching, this how I'll express I care, is how I express everything.
Yeah.
And this is like a glimpse for people to look into this and see your motivations and people at the very end that are winning world titles several times over and medaling at worlds and doing all these things. But there is, some athletes have said like guys like Michael Jordan will have come out and said, they ran a whole campaign saying be like Mike, but he's like, you don't understand. I could get obsessed with things. I could tie things in together, and it could be everything for me.
Yeah.
It could be everything for me if I miss that shot or whatever. It's how it goes sometimes behind the scenes, and you don't know it. You can't
Yeah.
associate with that.
Yeah. That's why, that loss hurts a lot. That's why I want revenge for that loss. You know, that's how it is. That's how it is. Now I'm trying to make it something good. I'm trying to like better myself with all of that. But obviously it's not easy with those harsh emotions. But in a way, even if I'm having the shittiest day ever, the only way I'm finding peace is under a barbell. Is in the gym with my crew, with my equipe, cracking jokes, training, having fun, but also like in a good way, killing ourselves in the gym, like
Mm.
expressing ourselves. So you can't imagine how many hours I spent in the gym throughout summer. Had Brutus come over. We're having like full-on training camps. Right now, I'm going to Japan next week, and I'm going to Japan with the rest of the team. So Tiff is going to be there, Brutus is going to be there, Coco is going to be there, and it's not, oh, where do we go to eat? Where so it was like, where do we choose the Airbnb to be as close as we can to a powerlifting gym with good equipment? We have our training days set, and then on the rest days we'll do something else. But on the training days, it's like wake up, breakfast, rest, train, and then we see what's happening. Nothing else. So it's like the gym and powerlifting in general is what's um, pushing me to become a better athlete, a better human being. Without powerlifting this year, I would be in a very very dark place. Um, yeah, so it's powerlifting helps us deal with our setbacks, deal with our emotions, deal with the hardships that we face in life, and it helped me a lot this year, and that's why I'm also going to always give my best to powerlifting because it's giving me so much.
I told you before, and it's true. You guys, man, in France, you have like so many world champions clustered around together in your lives. Like you run Silent Worker, SPD France, coaching, training, you know, your girls into it with like all the above, including inside the federation. And like you guys are, you're everybody, you're so into powerlifting. It's a moment. And who knows? Maybe when you're 55, you're not in powerlifting anymore. Who knows where you're going to be at? But
Yeah,
right here, right now, and you're not just, you're like at the top end. Every year you're in the battle. Every year you're involved. Even right now in Sheffield, you're going to be there. And here's another thing: lifting or not, I know for you, you're a competitor. We already talked about your passion, the whole nine. So for you, you want to compete.
yeah,
But what you might not realize, you see life through your own perspective. So that's obviously right for all of us. But if you look at the other perspective, when you come on this podcast and talk like you're just talking, as open as you are, and opening up, and people, this is why people adore you and your story, and they freaking relate so much because you're like whatever. When you show up at Sheffield at the meet and greet, and they put you in there, and all the fans gonna see you, and they see you around the hotel, they see you at the event, they see you. It means something, man. Listen, I will never forget when I was a kid in George Chuvalo. He was a Canadian heavyweight who fought Muhammad Ali twice for the title. He came to my school and I was a kid. And this is so long ago. And I will never forget that day I met him. And we went back to class and all of us couldn't stop talking about him. And the teacher was like, the teacher who was older was like, I watched that man fight Muhammad Ali with my dad when it was on TV. And I still remember watching him fight Ali on TV. And he went the distance with Ali. And we were all talking about it like, God damn. And for you, well, you got to think about perspective. For you, while you'll show up at Sheffield, like, yeah, but I'm not lifting, but I'm not. What I'm telling you is there's a moment right now where everybody cares what you're doing and everyone cares about your story and everybody cares about you. And when you have, I don't know, I know I don't have to tell you because when you show, I've seen you at events, at local events, and the lineup's like 45 minutes long, and you'll stay until every single one of them get a picture. But for an event like Sheffield, it's an opportunity for people outside of France. Outside, people are flying in from all over the world, and even if nothing else, you're like, I'm going to be there for all the fans that want me to be there. For everyone who wants me to be there, I'll be there. I'll be available. I'll shake
Yeah,
hands. I'll be dutted up.
I get that, but for me, the way, again, the way I express myself, the way I would talk to those people wanting to see me, wanting to talk with me is through my lifting. You know what I mean?
Well, you know
So,
what? I've seen you grab the mic, Playboy, and I've seen, hey, you can talk. Dude, here's another thing. Let me say this too. Rory was talking to me. We were in Malta. Rory was in Malta too. And he was saying, was he in Malta? Anyways, he was like, why is Pana the leader of France? Why is Pana the leader of the French Revolution? Why Pana? Because they have a lot of big stars. Why isn't that Leo? Why not Tiff, who's won all these world titles, like 4 world titles, still a junior? Why blah blah blah? Why not saying it shouldn't be you, but saying what are the qualities that make him when you have all these stars? Noemi Aliber has won world titles. Jacob. I'm not gonna go through every single world champion, but there's a lot, right? Why has it become Penna? And then, and I told him, you haven't seen him in front of a crowd when it's live. People can do social media. A lot of people, you could do a meme, you could do a lot of things, whether you have a personality or not, you could do certain things on social media. I told him, wait until you see what happens when Penna is in a room full of like 300 people. Wait until you see what happens. And I told him, my friend, this is Malta. We were at a freaking burger joint eating food. And Penna, there's like 20 of us. And Penna stood up in the middle of dinner in a fast food restaurant and gave a speech that had people laughing, that had people crying. He went around the table for every person there giving stories. Your dad was there. I couldn't even I know some French. I couldn't pick up everything, but you even said something for me. You were like you and I was like, my dog, wait until you see it. Wait until you see why everyone at that table, the French you keep, would look to Penn as the leader. When it could be anybody. His point was they're all alphas. How does that alpha become that the alpha? When anyone could step up. And and then he was at, I think it was probably Silent Worker. No, it was. He commentated with me at one of the Silent
yeah,
Workers. He just happened to be in town. And I'm
yeah,
like, guys, Rory's in town. You want him to commentate with me? It's a KOTL commentary booth. And you're like, yeah, whatever, because he does KOTL with me. Let's do it. And then at the end of Silent Worker, you grab the mic like you do. And you gave one of your speeches and had exactly hundreds of people eating out of the palm of your hand. And then Rory, we had that conversation at Worlds. Rory came up to me. He's like, fuck it. I know now. I get it. I
yeah.
100% get it. I'm like, I told you. And you have to experience it. I was like, I told you. And he's like, yeah. All right. It's what it
You
is.
know, the thing is, I think us powerlifters, or in general, people that go to the gym, they go to the gym because they can't fit in society in a way, you know? We all start lifting weights for different reasons. Maybe you are too skinny and you want to put on some muscle, or maybe on the contrary, you're a bit too heavy and you want to lose some weight to
Mm.
fit more to the standard, whatever. Or maybe you have dark emotions that, lifting heavy weights is the way for you to, express them, to get them out of you. And I would say we all look for the same things. We all look for somebody that will tell us we're okay the way we are. Somebody that will tell us, "Hey, what you're doing good. Just hang in there. Try to try to continue walking that path." And I think, although I'm not there yet, I still have a lot of my path to continue to walk on and to try to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. I still accomplished some things that allow me to also be able to show that way to people. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why, for instance, on Insta, I'm trying to do as much content as I can on, hey, this is how you increase your squat, your bench, your deadlift, whatever, because I just don't want people to be like, oh, Pana is shredded or he's strong or whatever. I want to be able to have the best impact I possibly can have, because when I started lifting weights, I had people that impacted me in that way, and I just want to give back. So that's why when I'm taking the mic, that's the expression, that's the feelings I'm trying to convey to people. It's like, hey, we're in this together. And usually, what I like to do, for some people in France, especially, so they come to me, they're like, "Oh, you're so strong." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, what are your numbers now?" They give me their numbers. Usually, they're close to the numbers that I was hitting when I started lifting weights or when I started powerlifting. And I'm like, "Hey, in 5 years, you could be a world champ. In 5 years, you could be here competing at French nationals." And I would say, the more you show to people it's possible, it's doable, the better it is for the sport and also for you as a human being, because you're doing your best to uplift people. And that's what I want to do. I just want to uplift people. So you asked me what I would do like at 50, 55. Maybe I'm not into powerlifting. Before I started lifting weights, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to share with people. I wanted to be a teacher in any shape or form. And I think in a way coaching is teaching, you know. So that's why I think I like to talk with people. I like to get on the mic. And also be upfront with my feelings, with my emotions. I think a lot of people aren't. And when you're talking with somebody that tells you, "Hey, what you did for me, I appreciated it," or on the contrary, it was hurtful and I didn't like it. Just being upfront. And I remember when we were talking at the burger after I won in Malta, that's what I did. I just said to every one of you how grateful I was to have you in my life, because I've seen some athletes. I won't name names, but I've seen some athletes win crazy accomplishments in powerlifting, and they're all alone to celebrate it. And I remember vividly this day I was with Tiff and Leah, and they didn't do good at this competition. And I told them, "Hey, look at that person. Okay, that person won or placed well, but that person is completely alone. That person has nobody around her or him to celebrate, to enjoy, to share. We lost, but at least we have each other." And that's what's the most valuable. Because even if you lost, at some point you'll win. And even if you win, at some point you lose.
Hmm.
So win, lose, you'll get it, you'll lose it, you'll get it, you'll lose it. But having real people around you, people that share the same values, the same love for the same sport as you never get that again.
And that person was Gavin Aiden, wasn't it?
You
You know,
you
hey
want
guys, look at that fucking guy. Look at that guy in the back of the burger joint eating
no,
his
because
burger. He's
uh,
he's eating his hamburger, and look how sad he is.
you
And
know why that can't be Gavin? Because Gavin would have all of the moms in the sauna,
that's
uh,
right.
so he wouldn't
You
be
know,
alone.
three women in the 50s was eating that burger with him.
All of the single
Oh,
moms would be around Gavin.
but no, in to be completely honest, so you're 100% right. First off, if you throughout this, sometimes I ask myself, are these competitions nothing more than excuses to have life moments with people
Yeah,
and meet people and get close to them?
probably.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Dude, we're all gonna live and die, but like say 100 years. You got 100 years or whatever, just round number. In that 100 years, you want as many moments, meet as many people, have as many friends, and have like moments with these people where you're like, and when you have moments with people, when you if you don't see me for 5 years, I end up plunk, get tossed somewhere where you can't reach, because social media, you could reach me. Let's say you can't reach me for some reason, and I reemerge 5 years later. We've had so many moments and experienced so much life. You would bump into me like six, dude. You pick right back. It's because you have moments though. And
Yeah.
if we all know people who never fully open up, they never fully say what's on their mind, or just they're always gotta have a mask. They always need to, everything's good. Nah, it rolled off my shoulder or whatever. Like you're open and say how you feel and the things you go through. And especially with friends and like, look at social media. If you want to do that, fine. But with friends and other people, if you're like that, nobody ever gets close enough. Close enough. But when you open up, you're like, fuck it. I'm gonna say how I feel. I'm gonna say I'll be me, and let everybody know. And they'll see the good, the bad. They'll see when I'm if I'm scared, I'll be like, yeah, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
If it hurts, it's like that hurt. I'm
Yeah.
not, I don't have to be like, nah, I'm not scared, or nah, that didn't hurt. Like if you're that guy or that girl, you people, or just so you know, people around you aren't as close to you maybe as you are to them. They might be open to you, so you feel close to them, but you might not be aware they don't feel the connection with you back, not to the same level. And that happens to a lot more people than they think. So when an individual like you comes around, people meet you and feel more connected with you because you're so transparent in all your social media and podcasts and everything you do and the speeches you give and whatever. And I think that's a huge piece why, for both, man. Why some people can't get any traction and some people get tons of traction. And sticking around long enough so people go through these moments with you. Your friends, like you said, when you're like, look at him, we're going through these moments together, whatever, when you were pointing at Gavin. And um, even in like the powerlifting community, if you stick around long enough, it's just like when Agatha's like, I gotta watch Taylor because Taylor's back. You have built up that equity in the powerlifting community. It's been built up over years. Dude, we opened this up saying, like, how many podcasts have you done with me? Like it's been years, Penna. So if
Yeah.
someone comes around now and thinks like I'm gonna bump Penna out or Penna will become irrelevant, it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like you can't. You can't. It ain't gonna happen, man. We all know who Penna is because he's been transparent, open, and all that. There is no, it's hard. It's harder to unseat you like that. It's harder to, you've impacted people. And now they're gonna remember you. Some people like, they'll, if I lose, people forget about me when the next person or guy or girl come around. It's people will forget the squat you did, the bench you did. They'll forget the year it was when you won the world title. You couldn't remember when Taylor did 838.5. Was it 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
But you remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Yeah.
sleep that night. You remember that.
100%.
And I'll always remember Malta, how I felt watching you win. And they'll always remember how you made them feel. So when people say like they'll forget about you in 5 years, not you. Yeah, they'll forget about some people who didn't hop on podcasts, open up and make them feel something, or put social media or just made them feel something.
Yeah.
They just kind of went down their merry way, won titles. Yeah, they'll forget about that. But as soon as you impact them, I'll never forget George Chavallo because he came to my school. I'll never forget. Dog, I was a kid. I'm a grown ass man. No, no, I won't forget.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Um, it's something special. That's where you gotta get the turbo tiff. Stop being so tough.
Yeah.
Remember in that group chat when it was my birthday, and it was like, "Happy birthday, Ryan! Happy turbo tiff." I could see she seen all the comments in the group chat, but didn't say a fucking thing. Didn't say a word else. God bless. She's so tough.
She is.
But but yeah, I don't know, man. It's a wild freaking ride, huh?
Yeah, years passed by so fast. I remember the first time I saw you in 2019, and now we're like
Mm,
20 or almost 2025. And that's also one of the reasons as to why I want to compete so much. I want to do as many meets as I can, etc. Because we never know when it's going to end. And I think sometimes we might take things for granted. Maybe that's the situation with my dad that allows me to see that, things aren't given. Or, as they say, tomorrow is never a promise.
mm.
It's a hope. So that's why I'm not taking anything for granted. So people care about like me lifting weights, might as well lift weights. You know what I mean? I care about lifting weights, might as well lift weights. I care
Mm.
about competing, might as well go to compete. So that's the way I see things. And to circle back to what we said with Sheffield at first is that's also one of the reasons as to why I said yes, because I don't know when this opportunity is going to come up. And although that's not the opportunity I wanted, because again, I wanted the wild card, I didn't want the replacement, you know, when this opportunity came, I think I was ready to seize it.
Yeah, can you it's a good point. Can you imagine? Can you imagine like early tw early 2025 or whatever, you get an injury or something happens
Yeah.
and you were like, Sheffield would have been the one. That would have been my last big one.
Imagine,
And
yeah.
I said no, thank you.
It's going to
And
happen.
and it couldn't happen, man. You
Yeah.
can't take these moments for granted. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
So
Can you even imagine?
hopefully I get to compete at Sheffield and die in a smoke screen like a rock star. Hopefully.
We find you dead in your hotel room like a rock
The
star.
next day.
People will be like, "Isn't that sad?" I go,
No, it was
"Beautiful." That's exactly how Penna goes.
he
Like a
deadlifted
rock star.
300 kilos the day before.
Let him
That's
go. Let him go. The paramedics there go, with all due respect, let him go. Don't revive him. Get his life going.
his life was good. Let him go.
they're like, they're
There's
like, no, this we're sure we can help him. I go,
yeah, yeah,
this is how he wants it.
there's an anime I watch, and at some point, like they can revive a guy, and something happened, and so basically the guy had a dream, and he was coming to the end chase of that dream. So his dream was about to happen, and they had to choose one guy to revive, and so one of them, he still had his dream to hold on to, and the other one, his dream was almost fulfilled. So they decided to revive the guy, that was far away from his dream because they knew when he would be, alive again, he would have to something to go after. Whereas the other guy, because his dream was coming up to an end, they didn't know like what he would do when he would be alive again. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's like sometimes you have to let go of things. So if I deadlift 300 and you find me the next day in my hotel room,
We're good.
caffeine overdosed, let it
You're
go.
good.
Let it
They,
be.
when everyone's all crying and they come to me like, how come you're not crying? I go, I'll tell you why. Two
That's funny.
world titles and 300 kilos. That's fucking lucky. Two world titles and 300 kilos. Enough said. I gotta say
That's
no more. That's it. Time to go. Time to check out. See you in the next life. I go, he won. He won in life.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
people be like, well, he was pretty young.
You're a weirdo, but okay.
You're weird, pretty fucking weird. And maybe we won't ask you to talk at his funeral.
No, you have to talk at my funeral, Ryan.
That's right. But I'll show
I
up anyways and I'll grab the fucking mic.
have to.
I'll have to, man.
Yeah.
Frig. No, it, it's definitely true. Look, we're getting deep as shit in this, but yeah, in terms of life, in terms of like life goals and chasing them and whatnot, and you don't know when all of this comes to an end and being at peace if it does, and not taking anything for granted, 100%, man. And when you were saying about the the scenarios where the two guys were asleep. This so going back to a Mike Tyson podcast. Mike Tyson smokes something called the toad, and it's a psychedelic experience that puts you under, and you're under, but it feels so vivid. I mean, so vivid, Penna. It's not like a dream. Like, sometimes you ever catch yourself dreaming and you realize, like, I'm dreaming.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah.
dream. And if it's scary, you're like, fucking, God damn, how do I wake up? You gotta wait. Right? It's like Nightmare on Elm Street. But this, when you smoke the toad, it becomes so vivid. It is literally as real as me and you talking right now. You couldn't decipher. It's literally like a scenario where if you woke up, you would be like, I can't believe I was dreaming. Like that was a dream.
Yeah.
And a guy was talking to Mike Tyson saying he smoked it. And you're under for like 15 minutes, but you wake up thinking that lasted 8 hours, sometimes longer, sometimes Penna. This guy said he smoked the toad, and I shit you not, had a whole life where he met a girl, fell in love, had a family, raised this family, became an old man, died, and then woke up in the room. The 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 thing he smoked, I forget what the drug's called, in the ashtray, and he came to, and he was 27 again. And he was
Crazy.
like, and it was as real as you're the life you're living right now.
That's insane.
Everything, everything. He remembers everything. And he swears. And time is conceptual in our mind. That time doesn't actually exist in space and stuff like that. Like time is, you know, and he's like, I'm telling you that time was passing like that. I'm telling you, I lived a life. Woke up and here's another life.
That's insane, dude. So maybe all of that is just a dream, right?
I'm telling you right now, I think you might have smoked that toad earlier, bro, boy, because your life story is pretty wild. Your
Probably.
life is pretty wild.
Hopefully
When
we can
when
write some good lines too. Hopefully still.
when we were in that burger joint and you were giving that speech, at one point did it cross your mind? Holy shit, I smoked that toad earlier, didn't I? What the fuck is who are these people? Who are these fucking? I don't know any of these people. Can you imagine you you look and you're at the wrong table?
And I don't know anybody, nobody knows me, but in my
You're
head,
gone.
I know everybody. Oh, that was
You're
crazy.
not in Malta at all. You're in Paris. You're belligerent. You're like, I'm a world champion. God damn it. Show me respect.
That's a Joker situation.
That's right, dude.
Crazy.
Which is yeah. But yeah, man, it's wild. I also want to ask you, while it's on my mind too, speaking of the A keep, how is Coco? Coco's is he what's going on with Coco?
Yeah, so basically, when I say about like waking up and having nightmares at night, that's kind of what happened with Coco with Worlds. I think it probably was his one of his worst performances in comp. So that's Coco. He decided to train every day uh, after Worlds. So
Mm.
for maybe 2 months straight, he trained every day, SBD sessions every day. So, in a way it worked because he totaled one of his best totals in training. And then he did like French nationals. Um, got a couple of ref calls on squat depth, like his butt on the bench. Um, and then by deadlifts, there was a guy that was closer to him than what we all thought. And so instead of just him doing what he wanted to do, we actually had to change the plan to make sure he would win. So he wasn't really able to deadlift what he wanted to deadlift. He deadlifted what he had to deadlift in order to make sure he was going to
Mm.
win. So he's a bit upset with all of that. But I think he's in the right direction. I think he just needs more time. I think he totaled 850 at Worlds, something like that. French nationals, he totaled 880, which is close to his best total in Gump. So not there yet, but definitely in the right direction in terms of
He can do like he's total 895. He
yeah,
hasn't peaked and come down. He's a young man.
yeah, yeah,
He should
100%.
be, if he did 895, he should be like, God knows where. Does
Yeah.
he cut a lot to make the weight?
This time he had to. I think he was 110 kilos. So it's
Because he's
not a
big. He's
yeah.
huge.
Oh yeah, he's gotten bigger since the last time you saw him.
Really?
Oh yeah, especially because he was training every day, so he put on a lot of muscle mass. So I think also the cut impacted him a bit. So his flight was at 6:30 p.m. and he usually trains early, so maybe th that also impacted him. But I don't want to insult the guy. Like he didn't have the meat he wanted, the meat he prepped for, which happens. You take it, you move forward. But yeah, but I think Coco by he secured the qualification for Euros, so he'll
Mm.
probably be doing Euros, and by Euros, I think we'll be able to see a better version of himself.
You think he'll go 120 or you think he'll stay 105?
No, I'm not sure. I think he'll stay 105. I think he told me he wants to to start from lower his weight cuts.
Because 105 to 120 is huge.
Yeah,
15
that's
kilos is
yeah.
massive.
Yeah, because he would need to be 120 something, 122, 123. So it means he would have to add like 10% of his body weight for a guy his size.
Mm.
But he's still young, so he could put up some muscle mass and then compete as a 120 maybe in a couple of years maybe.
Like Nico's doing really good.
Oh
Nico
yeah.
had a good day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a monster, huh? He did, what did he do? Like 930 something?
935 I think. 935.5 I think.
He's doing very well. He's progressing well. And he's like a smaller 120 who had to grow into it, taking
Yeah.
more time growing into it and whatnot. So it's taking time for him.
Yeah. He filled up the 120s now. I
Is
think
he
he
okay?
I think he weighed in at 118 something. So not completely full, but
Yeah. I mean, it's a big weight class to fill, man. And the thing with Coco, he came on the podcast and he told me his backstory.
yeah.
You probably already know,
Yeah.
but did you? I don't know if you heard that. This is a few years ago, but I don't know if he's. Did he ever tell you what he went through when he was in high school
Like with anorexia and everything.
and the psychology of how it happened?
Yeah, yeah.
He 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 was very transparent, and he said it was obsession. He became obsessed with first. He became obsessed with like not eating,
Yeah.
and anorexia got him. And I mean, he talked about to the point where um I mean, he's very open on this podcast. It was an incredible podcast because you enter into people's minds sometimes and they totally open up to you. And he was talking about how he literally is eating so little, he lacked the energy to smile. So
Yeah.
he'd have a social interaction and be like, I gotta smile to give this person a, it'd be almost too difficult. He was
Yeah.
so in terms of anorexia. And then he pivoted and found weightlifting. Only the obsession was replaced with anorexia to weightlifting.
Yeah.
And to the point where it was so crazy that by the time school was over, he was on a bus and on his way to the gym. And he said by the second last period of school, he had anxiety because he knew when he got to the gym, and he said his program was like 100 sets of 10 reps. Or it was
Yeah.
insane. It was like it took him like 5 hours to complete a day. The amount of rep work, it was insane. I'm like, how? How's this is not like a Taylor Atwood program that go, it's pretty tough. We're talking the only way you would write this program if you had a mind that was obsessed, that can't be, you can't control yourself. And he literally applied it to weightlifting just to a level that nobody would ever in a million years do every day. And he couldn't not do it. It was like, what if you were sore the next day? Well, don't worry about that. I was obsessed. I can't not. It's not, you don't understand. I can't not. I'm going to. As a matter of fact, it'll hurt me and dominate me so much I can't stop thinking about it all through class, everything. And I'm anxious until I get to it. This is just getting in the way of me getting to it. And people like talk about being obsessed with something, and they use the word obsession, but it's like a hashtag or it's like a cliche where Coco's like, no, 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 listen, I know what obsession means, and it's not cute. It's not, it's ugly. I almost killed myself with anorexia, and I was killing myself with weightlifting. He's like, that's real obsession. And he's like, when I tell you powerlifting might have saved me, legitimately powerlifting, when he found the structure of a program, might have saved him,
Yeah.
because now he's like, okay, I can't, I'll just do this. Like, I just got to commit to this. And then eating gave him better performance, and he became obsessed with performance. And how do you get better performance? Stay on the program. You can't overtrain. You can't undereat because you become weak. And then all of a sudden, powerlifting literally saved this young man's life. And now when people talk about obsession and training and whatever, it's like the conversation I had with Coco has impacted me like I can't even tell you. And now you meet him, like he's a totally different guy. This is younger life, right? He's got all this everything in check. But when people talk about obsession, we use these words, and it's like you don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's not obsessed. You're passionate. You're not obsessed.
You
There's a
know,
difference.
I told you we were going to Japan, and Coco is coming with us to Japan. That's the first time in his life he's going to take holidays.
Really?
Yeah. First time in his life. And the only reason as to why he said yes is because he knew I was going to Japan too, and that, training would be one of the priorities of the trip. It's not, oh, we're going to have holidays. It's we're going to live life in another country for a couple of weeks while still maintaining this very, very important thing, which is training. So Coco that's the first time in his life he's taking holidays.
Wild.
Yeah. And also, um, that's the first time he's going to train less than 6 days a week because we like Tiff, since I coach Tiff, I coach Julien also, which will be with us, etc. We usually train 4 days a week, maybe five, but 4 to 5 days at most. And Coco was training every day since Worlds, so now he's going to lower his days of training.
Only
So we'll see
six.
how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, Coco
It's
is
it.
is I'll say something very quickly. He's getting hate in France for I don't know what reason. Um,
What? Coco?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Some people are like to demonize him, uh, talk him down, because they're like, oh, his standards in comp, whatever. And the thing is, those people don't realize um, what he's gone through, what he's going through, and more importantly, they don't realize the mindset he has. He's a warrior. Like 99.9% of the other human beings would have given up in his situation, and he didn't, and he's still not giving up. He totaled 880 as a 105, which is like a very good total, and he was like, "I'm trash. I need to go back to train." The night of French nationals, he went to train. The night of.
Yeah. This is like, well, first off, like Coco is like as nice a guy as you're gonna meet. So
He-
like people would feel bad if they met him. If they're talking just sports, like sports commentary is different. If they're, I wasn't sure when you first said that. I thought you meant like personally attacking him,
Yeah,
like
but then
like
because people create relationship between who you are as an athlete and who you are as a human being. It's like
Mm,
this guy is a good singer, so obviously he's a nice person.
mm,
Whereas in reality, he's maybe like molesting child, whatever. He's a
mm,
trash human being. So you have this thing where when somebody's good at something, you're like, oh, then he's a good human being. And people, because some people in France, they'll go after him as an athlete, and then they'll also go after him as a human being.
mm.
Like crazy
It's
stuff. I'm telling you,
it's
crazy
wild
stuff.
because like when you meet Coco, he is such a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
such like nobody that meets him in real life and hangs out with him would feel this way. And it shows you while you think you know someone on social media and you might talk about them a certain way and feel like it's okay. If you actually met that person in real life, you would feel really shitty
Yeah,
about the things you said. You
yeah,
would feel terrible. You would
yeah,
be like, Frank, man. Like,
yeah.
especially Coco. They don't know. Like, he's not like,
People are like, yeah, it's a comment on social media, but man, sometimes like I'm over it right now. But some people aren't, and at first I wasn't. So whenever I was getting one bad comment, like for instance, I'll post a total and people will be like, oh, there's no way he'll total that in his coming comp. You're like, yeah, you're maybe expressing your opinion, and that's cool, and you're 100% entitled to do so. But then also know that at the receiving end of that message is a human being with emotions. So
mm,
maybe that will hype him up. He'll be like, oh, I'll show you. Or maybe that's the 20th message like that he receives, and it's getting like to his nerves. You know what I mean? So like right now, me personally, I'm above that. I hope. At least lately, didn't have anything of that nature. But when you get 10 times um, a message, a bad message, or something on your squat or whatever, could impact you in a way. And people think that it's okay because it's social media, but there's actually human beings behind the accounts, and that can be hurtful.
it's, you know what? Let me get your opinion on this because you and only a couple people will be able to be in your shoes to answer this. Is it easier because you've won world titles, you know, you unofficially broke, you just unofficially broke the world record. Like you are who you're going to world games. You are who you are. You're accomplished. So when someone takes a swing at you, is it easier to fluff off because you're like, nah, I'm, I'm pretty fucking good, so it's okay. Or is it like Leah took a tough loss at Worlds and I'm sure like she's gonna be fine, but I'm sure if you got her at the wrong time, it would hurt still, even though Leah's accomplished everything she's accomplished.
Yeah.
It's does it get easier or does it just get more intense or how does it work?
I wouldn't say it gets easier. I would say um, it depends on what happened. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. Somebody made a joke about like me failing deadlifts on grip. If you crack that joke at me any time of the year, I'm like, cool. But if you crack that joke right after I lost Worlds on deadlift grip, that to me that's not a joke, you know?
Yeah, that's personal.
Yeah, that's personal. So I would say it's come to that. So for instance, right now I feel pretty good about myself as an athlete. You can say whatever. I'll be like, you know what? That's your opinion to it. Don't worry. I'm good and I'm taking care of myself. And no matter what happens, you'll see at my next comp. But if you were to come to me and to be like, hey, what happened when I bombed out in 2022? That's obviously not the same situation. So you have to have that mental strength to be like, no matter what they think or they feel, that doesn't determine and define who I am as an athlete. And your ability to do good at a given comp shouldn't change everything about you in a negative way. But at the same time, it definitely has an impact, I would say.
It's almost like you don't stop feeling the feelings, you just get used to feeling
Yeah,
them. So it's
exactly.
like
Yeah.
you recognize, okay, I
Yeah,
know what
I
this
would say
is.
that. I would say that. I would say that. Or maybe you still feel them, but before that it was maybe 10 out of 10 when you were experiencing those feelings, and now it's like
Mm.
6. And you know how to deal with that a little better.
Yeah, you've
So
seen it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, you went through that already, so you know how to bounce back. You know how to deal with that. But I'll give you this example. When I saw, so I just posted on YouTube my meet recap from French nationals, and I saw some comments like, "Hey, oh, I feel bad about this guy." Because he says he broke the world record, but in 3 months the world record will be so much higher. Referring to Kjell and Sheffield and everything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? They feel bad about me. I'm like, dude, I've experienced so much worse, you know. So I don't need you to feel bad about me. Don't worry, I'm doing myself. That's good enough. And it's so it's always that. But I think at the same time you have to know that when you're trying to have social media, you're going to get bad messages. Because you're getting good messages too, right?
Mm.
So you cannot just want the good best messages without the bad messages. So I think you have to be strong mentally, definitely.
Yeah. It's you've come a long way and you got a lot, you got a big following, but there is going to be that kind of talk,
Yeah.
especially, you've seen it, what happened with Russ. And
Oh,
it was crazy.
and
It was
he took it
crazy.
like a champ. Like Russ, people don't realize the way he must have felt. And I'm telling you because I felt it, he took it like a champ. Like he's
It,
he's very, very strong mentally.
dog, it's like we're talking full on cyberbullying levels of holy shit.
Yeah.
And people again, like when Germans won, people are like celebrating, like dancing in the streets.
Oh,
And it's like, and it was almost like, are you guys, it was past the point of Germans just winning. It was like, it's just
exactly.
everyone happy I finally lost.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then on top of that, you go online and people like whatever. And it's like, it's like full on cyberbullying. And you got to be careful because if you haven't, we're talking about experiencing things second time, third time, fourth time, you're ready. You're ready. You went through 2022, bombing at Euros, lost your world title. That's what made 2023 so magical. You were
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get every single one of my titles back. And you did. And it made it so when something comes around, life has gotten you tough. But with Russ, I'm sure life's gotten Russ tough too. He's a 30-year-old man. But in terms of powerlifting, he hadn't lost
Yeah.
at all in this era. The last time he lost, it was 2018. Like it was a different era in powerlifting. He has only ever won in this modern era. So when he finally lost, that was a big first for him. And the first for him was an incredible, I haven't seen that kind of outpour. And I don't think it's all just like anti-Russ, because obviously there's so many people who love Russ. It was more when there's a huge upset in sports, people go crazy because you didn't see that coming. That's why it's an upset. And he's won for so long. Someone finally beat him. And I don't know. It was weird. But the if you were in his shoes and he cried and he
Yeah.
showed the video, he had videographer of him and he showed him crying. Again, being transparent. And it hurt because it means something to him. He's dedicated his life to weightlifting. Everything, his whole life, right now, you'll appreciate this for Sheffield. Can't wait to see what happens. He posts now and he's like, I eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep, train, and just keep repeating that over and over, my friend. And I don't get bored. I don't think it's fine. That's exactly where I want to be. And
Yeah.
he's so motivated from, oh, you guys got jokes. You guys got jokes. You want to get funny because I can get hilarious. He's ready. And I'm very much intrigued on what he's going to bring to Sheffield. But my God, man, people forget that some of these guys are humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With Russ, like some people, I would say some people went a bit overboard with that. because you're celebrating, and like you said, some people were celebrating Durance's win, and that's amazing, and
Mhm.
that's a crazy story too, right? But at the same time, I think some people were celebrating Russ's downfall, and you're like, celebrating somebody's victory, yeah, but celebrating somebody's downfall, unless they did something very, very bad to you, you know, that's a bit weird, I would say. But that's what happened. And again, people don't realize. I get an idea of what he got, and it's not the same because we're not in the same shoes, right? People, when I lost at Worlds, it wasn't. I didn't lose on an upset. It could have gone either way, but with Russ, it was an upset. So he's yeah. You just got to be strong mentally. You have to be strong mentally in victory, but also and most importantly through defeat, and which I think why Russ took it like a champ, and from what I've seen from his training, it's going to be tough. But also from what I've seen with Durin's training, it's going to be
That's
tough.
your boy. I knew you were gonna
That's
say
my boy.
that. He's a
Obviously,
silent
obviously.
worker. I was
He's
waiting.
Durin's a silent worker. We sponsor him prior to him becoming world champ, which shows,
I know
we're following athletes for who they are and not just world champions or not. Because we have Sunita in that case too, we have Emil in that case too. So it's more about the mindset. But Durance is my boy, but I'm a Russ fan too, and
for sure.
I've never hate that. So I'm just as a fan of the sport, there's a part of me, a big part of me. I'm like, Durance has to take this one. There's also a big part of me that wants to see Russ back 100% angry, ready to
It's a
go
great
back at it.
story. Yeah,
That will be amazing. So, in a way, I'm like, I want to be on the platform with all of them for Sheffield. And also at the same time, if I'm in the audience, that's cool too.
amen at that. Yeah,
That's cool too.
yeah,
That's cool too. But
yeah.
imagine, like, I want to be there having my own battle at the same time with Kasimsan and Kjell. That would be cool too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sports has taught me what I call duality, where you can feel extremely happy for one person
Yeah.
and in the same moment extremely sad for another. I've been in these situations where people like so and so wins. And they're like, all right, I bet you're happy so that guy won. But they also went against somebody who's your friend.
Yeah.
And they're like, but so what? Are you happy that guy won or not then? It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
no, I'm
Yeah.
happy he won and I'm sad he lost. It's life is more complicated than just one emotion. You can have both. It's called duality.
Yeah.
That life will teach you duality where you feel both. Like you, Jurgens, we've hung out at France, we've been hanging out at Worlds, and Jurgens is like, he's a dude, he's been on the podcast, a bunch of times too. And he's like as solid a guy as you're going to get. Jurgens doesn't even tell people his full story. I don't even know if he can. At some point, he will. He's got a phenomenal backstory and the whole nine as well. But I mean, he's another guy who's a solid. You meet him in real life and you're going to root for him.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Ade Omasakan, who's like emerged just recently this year, really emerged on the world scene, holds the world record. Now is going to be at Sheffield. Ade in the mix, had him on the podcast twice now. Super nice guy. Super nice guy. Like, shit, now I like this guy. And then you
Yeah.
got Tim Managati, who moved up from 74. Now he's in 83. And he did 845.5. And he was like a small 83 when he did it. And he's like, damn. And Tim's as nice a guy as you're gonna who's got something bad to say about Tim? He's shy, keeps to himself, he's not gonna ruffle any feathers. Like it'd be pretty tough to find something wrong. So it's tough, man. You
Yeah.
watch these dudes,
Yeah.
but only and what I love, you have four guys like that. All of them have like won medals at worlds, all of them, but like they've broken world records, won world titles. You got a goat in there. You got a goat in there. All of
Definitely.
these guys are top of the line. There can only be one. Can only be one. That's what made the 66 so special at Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we can have some 66 showdown and battle at Sheffield prior to that. And if that's not the case, then we'll settle the record straight at Worlds.
And here's another thing we talked about, but previously when on a different episode you were saying, wouldn't it be nice if I was like Russ and I was just like steamrolling these guys and winning every year? And I'm like, kind of. But when the battle is so close, you don't know who's going to win. 50-50, like you said, 50-50 could go any way. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you're in the mix every time. Like even at Worlds, you quote unquote lost, you still won. You medaled at Worlds, and you like tie on total, lose on body weight, and it's like sensational battle. And it's like, oh my god, it was the best I've ever seen in my life. Like it was amazing to watch. And then, but the year before you win, year before that you lose, year before that you win. You never know what you're gonna get. So every time you hit the platform, it's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That's exciting. That is like, holy smokes. Less exciting is someone who comes in, is like, yeah, he's going to win by 20 kilos. It is like Perk is now, unfortunately, because everybody left his weight class.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
think about leaving? So go ahead. I'll ask you in a sec.
No, yeah, I get that. I get that. It's just that, always being into battles, sometimes it's a bit tiring, right? Sometimes you're like, I want an easy one, you know? But right now I'm at peace with my whole life, not just my powerlifting career, but my whole life being a constant battle. And
Mm,
sometimes I'm a bit more tired than other times, but I'm at peace with my circumstances, and I know I'll. It's always going to be a battle. I never see myself going in there being like 50 kilos ahead of everybody and just pacing through my day. It's not going to
yeah.
happen. But at the same time, my strength is that I never count myself out, and people should never count me out either.
Did you see that Russia is back? Not as
Yeah,
Russia, but the Russian athletes are neutral
yeah,
athletes.
yeah.
Is your old is your old foe glad kick coming back? Do you know? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, I don't know. Even if he comes back, what's his current level?
I don't
Uh,
know.
you know what I
I don't
mean?
know, buddy.
You
What's
haven't.
that? Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up in open powerlifting and let me see.
Go ahead.
But there's something special. Oh God, now I gotta know how to spell his name. Let me see here. Oh my God, I guessed right. That's not an easy one.
I think it's Gladk.
Yeah, no, I got her. I got her. Yeah. But okay. So he's only competing like once a year. And he did he was so in 2022 at 70.7 kilos, he did 725. But he did what you're planning on doing. But then in 2023, at 66 kilos, he did 690. And in 2024, at 60 kilos, he did 665, which isn't, but I don't know if he's how serious. It looks like he's missing. Oh, he only got one bench and two deadlifts and didn't come out for his last deadlift. He only got two squats. He had a terrible day. In 690 day, he went 9 for 9. But on that day, he did 725, and he's a big boy. He was 70.7. Like he's hitting PRs, pretty much all over the place. But I don't know. It's just interesting to me because I remember when you guys, he was a two-time world champ, just like you're a two-time world champ now, but he was before you. And he
Yeah.
was coming in, the two-time world champ coming in, and you were like the guy, and it was a good showdown because you became a two-time world champ and that guy, but you weren't there yet coming in. You were just hyped and ready to roll, and everyone knew it was you who he's going to face, and he's looking your way, and he's like the guy. And
Yeah.
it was like I'll never forget 2021 Worlds and your video you did afterwards, which is amazing. When you're on the train and you look out the window and roll back, it was the beginning of social media Penna.
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be cool if he came back. Now, like I said, to what level he's going to come back, I don't know. But for sure, like if he competes at Euros in March, that's going to be some good motivation.
Nostalgic wise,
Yeah.
even if he's not like on your, he's probably not on your level now. But even if he wasn't, it'd still be pretty cool seeing you two on the platform again.
I'll be hyped. In my head, I'll be like, oh, I have to beat this guy.
Yeah.
So that would be good for me. That would be good for me.
And it's kind of interesting. He did what you're planning on doing, or he was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna go 70.7 kilos for this one.
Yeah.
And he had a big total.
I plan on hitting more than 725, but
Good.
yeah, we'll see.
Freak, dude.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's why. That's why it's like just, give the fans some fun.
Yeah. So normally, like I told you, I think I'll be competing early December. So like I have my trip to Japan, but have already started my training. But yeah, I'll probably be around this body weight, like between 70.5, I think at most. So yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. Will be fun. Have a comp without the weight cut and everything. And then from there we'll see if Sheffield is part of the equation for me. And if it's not, then Euros.
And Euros, like all those are gonna be 66. Like, would you do Euros as a 74 or no?
I'm not sure I can with the current Team France selection criteria.
Mm.
Not sure I can. Probably not. Because they changed it and it's a bit rougher. It's a bit more restrictive, I would say, with the qualification criteria. So and also because I never competed as a 74, I think I would be a B group with the IPF rules.
Well, would it, your December one wouldn't get you in the
No,
E group, you don't think?
no,
No?
no, because it's not it's not like a local official meet. It's like an
Mm.
SBD competition in France. There is a new competition in France called the SBD Showdown. So I'll be competing at that. So it's not I don't think that would give me a like a qualifier total.
Will it be an official meet though?
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Dude, I think you should do these every now and then.
Yeah, probably.
Just to
Yeah.
like, just to like blow up a big ass total and get everybody wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan for December. That's the
And
plan for
yeah.
December. Like I'm going to train my ass off. Like I said in Japan, that'll be so cool. Like I'm a huge
Are you
Japan
big
fan.
in Japan or is it China?
No, Japan.
You're big, yeah. What do they call you, strong back?
Oh no, it's China. It's China.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, it's so funny because since they told me my nickname in China, I went on the Chinese YouTube because in China they don't have YouTube, they have other stuff. And when you type like my nickname, my Chinese nickname, my videos actually pop out. That's insane. I've seen it. I was like, no, there's no way. There's no
And you
way.
know what? One of your boys was telling me at Silent Worker, he's like, when he first told us about this, he added, they call me strong back and legs. And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
your boy goes, and there ain't no way they called you strong legs. And
yeah.
you threw that in there yourself. And you're like, I fuck it, I threw that in there. Come on, man. Let me have it.
I'll take the L. I'll take the L on that one.
I do the same. I
It's
got
like,
small legs for my body,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I try to squeeze that in
I
there to
try
help
to
me.
squeeze it in, but it's king of the low back.
King of the
That's
lower back.
king of the low back.
Dude, I can't believe, because I loved when you said, you told me, I'm huge in China. I was like, I go,
That's
really? You go, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm huge in China.
so some guys they just take my YouTube videos, they uploaded it, add the Chinese subtitles, and just repost it on the Chinese YouTube, and it gets like 20, 30, 40K views
It's crazy, man.
just for a re-upload.
And they just threw Chinese.
Yeah, they just throw Chinese captions and that's
And
it.
didn't you see there were some TikToks on you that like were going crazy viral?
Yeah, but on the same on the Chinese platform, not on
Yeah.
so not TikTok because they don't have TikTok or Insta or YouTube, so on their platform. So the way I know it, it's there's a guy from China who came and he was like, "Oh yeah, but you're big in China." And I was like, "Oh, come on, there's no way." And then he showed me everything and I was like, and he was like, "Oh, and we actually call you the king of the low back."
King of the lower back and legs and glutes.
And, and leg and
You
legs
throw glutes in there
and
too.
pectorals and triceps.
And pectorals and triceps. And people are like, all right, take it easy. That's a mouthful. What are we doing here?
Nah, they call me
But
king of the low back. I'm okay with that.
but
At least I have a Chinese nickname. Maybe Taylor has one, maybe Russ has one. We just have to
can
ask them.
you imagine, man? It, the thing is, well, Mr. B said he actually has like several different YouTubes with different under different languages now. And because you were telling me if you have a YouTube with too many different languages on the one channel, the algorithm doesn't like
Yeah,
it or something. You got to pick a lane. But if you do different YouTube channels so
exactly.
people come to it, it might work.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to do, but I don't know if this is like an avenue that people should think about where it's like, no, maybe you should have an English YouTube channel, a different YouTube channel for like whatever. I don't know. I don't know if
I
this
I
is something.
started one. I actually started one.
No kidding.
Yeah. I started a YouTube English channel. I already have a couple of like squat tutorial, bench tutorial, deadlift tutorial videos, and honestly, it's good. It's doing good. It's doing good. People like it, so that's cool, and I'll keep posting on that. But yeah, for sure, that's something you have to think about.
Well, this day and age, you can literally they have AI
Oh
that
yeah,
I could put this podcast in the AI with our mouths moving, only coming out of it could be Spanish
exactly.
in your voice.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
I mean, I've thought about it. I don't know if I want to do it, what I want to do with it all, but
Yeah, for me, for my English channel, some people were like, "Hey, why don't you just retake your videos? You just do an AI, etc." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I also want it to have my like persona, my expressions, the way I talk. Obviously,
mm,
I think I speak pretty good English, but I have my own like French expressions or accent, whatever, and I don't want it to be like quote unquote fake. Like if I didn't speak English, I wouldn't mind using an AI, but because I speak English, I'm like, hey, might as well just do double the work. So I actually hired a new editor. So now I have an editor for my English channel also.
you edit. Do you have two editors?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a staff.
Yeah. So right now it's like three of us working on like YouTube, like social media, Insta, TikTok, whatever. I handle it myself, but YouTube, I have my editor for my French channel and my editor for my English channel now.
Even the video you have when you won in 2023 was absolutely fire.
Yeah. Like the recent one we just posted with French nationals, Mathieu, my editor, did like a fantastic job, and I think within 24 hours it's around 50K views, which like on French YouTube is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. Oh, I'm also speaking of like the language barriers, etc. I'm trying to put together Fedoshenko coming on King of the List, Fedo
Ooh.
from the 59s.
You have to put
And
him with Huascar.
I know, I know. So for the first one, I'm gonna have Fedo and
Yeah.
just talk about a peek behind the curtain. What the hell has been going on in Russia this whole time? Well, because he was friends with Galactic. You remember.
Yeah.
He's friends with some of these guys. Just tell me about what is the powerlifting scene? What is going on in Russia in the last like 4 years? Have you guys been competing? Have you been training the same as some people just falling off because why am I doing this? Or, what has it been like? Did you ever think you'd come back? Now you're in your 40s. Were you thinking I should just pack it up? It's taking forever. Now you saw Wasker winning. How did you feel about that? He's winning your title. He's calling you out. He's saying he's going to give you an L. and like, tell me about this. What's going on? Are you excited? Sheffield's here. All these different things are here now. None of this was here before. Um,
There
even
won't be no
Worlds.
Sheffield for him though.
That's right. I thought about that as soon as I said. However, Sheffield being this big makes Worlds bigger. It made Worlds
Yeah, yeah.
bigger for sure. Sheffield impacts powerlifting, period.
Right, yeah.
Sheffield making Wasker, because Wasker is at Sheffield, Sheffield making Wasker even bigger when they have a showdown at Worlds, it's going to be even bigger. Sheffield impacts everybody no matter what. Just want to get his impression of it. Do you watch Sheffield? Are you? Do any of you guys in Russia watch? Do you guys in Russia still know what's going on? Does Glackick still talk about Pana?
That'll be a good
does he?
one.
Does he still? I don't. I don't. And then when we get all that, when we catch up on all that, then bring him back for him and Wasker.
That would be insane.
That dude, we haven't had a 59 kilo clash ever that
Yeah.
people would tune in for and like, I gotta watch this.
In France, this year, it was the first time that people came to watch the 59s.
What?
Yeah, first time.
What do you mean? What do you
Um,
like? People, there was like
because
nobody in the audience before.
no,
Like if the 59s were about to come on and I was in the audience reading my paper, I
yeah,
would put my paper down and leave
yeah, exactly.
and
And
come back.
this year, so we had one junior that I think did second place at Worlds. We had one sub junior, 53. I don't know if you've seen him. He deadlifts like 245 as a
Oh
53
wow.
sub junior. So he competed as a 59. And so this year it was the first time people cared about the 59s. And for a reason, because like, you know, obviously the juniors are usually deadlift specialists. So for deadlifts, everybody was going crazy. But in general, like people cared about the 59. So it's the first year in France there was hype
Hmm.
around 59s. Mind you, there was more hype around the 59s than there was about the like 93s or whatnot.
What?
Yeah.
There was more?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah.
Well, when Wasker came on here, he said you wanted to do for the 59s what you did for the 66s. And he was talking about what he needed to do that. Winning world titles for sure. Back to back world titles for sure. Getting to Sheffield was one of them. He needed to be on the big stage. And his story, he literally was a street kid growing up in the streets in Dominican, and like his story is amazing. He had to like his mother had to help him sneak him away from his father, who like it's an amazing story. And he's a good looking kid, charismatic. He's a smaller guy. He's a 59, but he's jacked. He's still like in his own way jacked. When he takes his shirt off, he looks muscular, which helps. Like I don't gotta tell you, it helps like posts and like social media traction, etc. So he could sell. He could like he could the way he looks with his tanned hair or his dyed hair, and he's got like one buzz right through the eyebrow. What like he looks cool. He
Yeah.
talks cool. He's got an amazing background story. And when he lifts with passion. You see him when he hit the Sheffield qualifier at American Nationals and he broke down and started crying because he's like, oh my God, I think I could do this. And then when he was at the World Championships, even though he was so far ahead of everybody else, when he hit the Sheffield qualifying total, he broke down right there. And it was like a moment because everyone knew now he's going to Sheffield and he's going to get to tell his story, and all the 59s are going to have their day. Even though it's just 159, he'll represent the small guys. And it'll be
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do something. In all the other 59s, there's a bunch of other international 59s. When Wasker did it and I reposted and I put in the story, all would reply and be like, fucking, that's our boy. Go get him. Go get him.
Yeah.
I don't care if we compete on the platform like one of us made it. And they know like if he made it and he could blow it up, people are going to start watching. And the last check mark to make the 59 special, he needs to have the showdown with the GOAT,
Yeah.
Fedo. He needs it. And the 59 kilo class, the last thing they need to blow up to make people care, they need a showdown that everybody cares about. And the crazy thing is, Wasker, he's got a personality, so he's shit talking. And you know what that does for sports. And Fedo, who's in his 40s, a grown ass man from Russia, doesn't even know English, is shit talking back,
Easy.
saying like, it's crazy, man. And he's like
Okay.
saying back, like, I'm going to give you an L. Like, you're going to take a, he's like, you think you could beat me? I think you could beat me too when I'm 52, not when I'm
Uh,
42. And he's like, I just hope after I beat you, you don't disappear from the international scene like all these other lifters. When they
no.
talk big, I beat them and then they end up
He said that.
retiring. Fedoshenko said that. My boy Dimitri has a Russian podcast. He listens to King of the Lifts. He watches the social media. And
Can you hear me?
when Wasker came on there and Wasker started talking, my boy Dimitri translated it for Fedo and said, "Did you hear what Wasker said?" And Fedo clapped back. It was like,
Oh,
"Tell him I said." And on the Russian podcast, actually, that Russian dude is a dude that I'm trying to get to be the interpreter for when I have Fedo on. He's like the Russian podcaster or whatever. So
good.
I don't know, dog. We'll see what happens. It's exciting, man.
Yeah.
It's it's good to have a little something something in the 59s. He could do it.
Yeah.
I think Wasker could do it. I think Wasker can blow. And Fedo, it's going to take two. Takes two.
Yeah.
Doing the Sheffield thing and qualifying for Sheffield was a good story. So people would watch you even if you're by yourself. But eventually, I don't got to tell you, you've had tons of good rivalries. You need a rival. Otherwise, like, it's not the same.
I'm not going to say I need my Joe Jordan because might spark some some fire back. So
That's right. That's right.
you do need some rivals. You do need some rivals, but
Dude, it makes things spicy. Makes
yeah,
people care. It puts a little something in the game.
yeah.
Do you think you're going to be a 66 for your entire career?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Before that, I would have told you yes. Now, I'm like growing physically. Obviously, it's getting harder and harder to restrain myself. So part of the reason as to why I'm doing those meets as a light 74 is to see what I can do.
Hmm.
Obviously, my goal is to compete at Worlds. Um, so if at some point I see that I have the potential to compete at Worlds as a 74, I'll maybe do it.
And yeah, I think that's a great plan actually. See what happens at like 70. See what
Yeah,
happens at 71.
yeah.
See what happens. If the number starts floating up there, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um, but 66 is always it's attainable. It's there.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
100%.
yeah. So
I still honestly I would feel bad moving up right now because I still feel I have unfinished business. So obviously I would like to be the first 66 to claim three world titles. Why not claim the World Games title? Although, like I said, right now I don't quote unquote see the value of that yet. Uh, but yeah, once all of that is done, and if I see that I still have potential as a 74, why not? People
like
are like, yeah, there's no way he will go up 74 because there's perk, because this, because that. Man, like you can't be afraid of a weight class because of someone. Like if I move up, I'm like, my goal is to beat this guy, no matter who he is. You know what I mean? Obviously, right now there is no way, but my goal would be if I decide to move up 74 to be in contention to do so. Otherwise, I won't move up. Otherwise, I don't compete at that level. You know what I mean?
not only that, people try to tell the future, and it's like they're talking about Perk. You don't even know if Perk is going to be there. You could have said, look at Shell to move to 66, Taylor moved to 83, freaking Leah's 63, Agata's gonna do 69, then she'll do 76, then she said she's going 84. Like you can move if you move to avoid someone like Gara might stay 69 because she's telling herself Agata's gonna come and go anyways. I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna grow as a 69, for real grow into 69. So it's gonna take time. And if I move just because Agata's coming, Agata already said I'm leaving after next year. I'm gonna do Sheffield Worlds and then I'm going again. So it's kind of like to an extent, to an like maybe just for Sheffield, she could cut to 63. I still think she could, but to a bigger picture in terms of your situation, where people like, why would you move Perks up there? It's like he's there now. What if you don't do something because someone else is there and they end up moving anyways? Then you didn't do it for no reason. You should have just done whatever you thought was best, right? For you.
So it's funny because when I started, people were like, "Oh, move up, move up, move up." Now I have two world titles, and also at the same time, now you see some previous 83s move down. Like Kjell was 83, 74, and now 66. Then you see 74s that maybe didn't necessarily have reasons to move up, that move up. Like Taylor. Taylor didn't move up because he couldn't make weight. He moved up because he needed to eat more in order to be healthier. And then, you have all of those scenarios, like you say. So I think it's not as set in stone as people think. So, and also in France, we have examples with athletes that move up, didn't pay at all. The same example with athletes that move down, didn't pay at all. So it's more so about find what's best for you, develop your plan for a couple of years, see where you end up, and decide from there. So that's exactly what I want to do. No matter what, I'll compete at. So if I get to Sheffield, it will be 66 euros. We'll see, but probably 66 World 66 World Games 66, and then I'll see.
Yeah, you're right. Some people move down is good, but it didn't make a huge movement in their career. Some people moved up, good, but didn't make a huge movement in their career. But as a 66, you're world class. You
Yeah.
got two world titles and all the rest of it. How many world medals do you have right now?
I think just one more. Because 2019 I didn't podium, 2021 I won, 2022 didn't podium, 2023 I won, and this year I didn't. I podium, so it's just one bronze medal on top of the two gold medals.
You know what was important for you? An important showdown and clash is when you won the world champ. This is very interesting because it's about to happen in the 83s. You won the world title. Fuck, I want to ask you this. I can't believe I almost didn't ask you this. So you won the world title as a 66. And then at Sheffield, there was another 66, and you had a clash right there on the spot, a rematch. Even though you were the reigning world champion, if you lose, people are looking the other way like it kind of it's going to hurt, right? Because you're the world champ. But you won is almost like defending your title. We're not the UFC. You don't defend your title. You only defend your title at Worlds. But it's almost like you have to defend your title because it's Sheffield.
Yeah.
Even if it was Europeans, people would look at, wow, it's just Europeans. Maybe didn't train as hard. But because it's Sheffield, in the entire world of powerlifting is watching, it's literally like a title defense, like it's the UFC. You won the title at Worlds, now you have to defend it. Because if you lose, just like Jad Jacob beat Joy Namani and beat Natalie at Sheffield, all of a sudden everybody starts looking at Jad when she goes to Worlds like they have to beat you now. Like you're the person to beat. You're the 57. You had that moment when you won Worlds and had the showdown at 66 with Kyoto. And it was a tough showdown. Kyoto's no joke. He's hit over the world record at his nationals. So it was like a good showdown. And you felt that. And you won. It's like you defended your title, which is cool. That's a cool moment. Let me ask you this. First off, did you feel like in that moment you were defending your world title? And if you lose to another 66 head up in the biggest show in the world, were you telling yourself like I gotta win this showdown? Like I cannot like Kyoto first, or were you looking at the overall rankings?
I was looking at the overall rankings, because I was like, if I can do what I want to do, I don't think Kyoto is going to be
Mm.
next to that. It was like getting that would make sure I also get the win over Kyoto. But at the same time, I was definitely looking at what he was doing because, like you said, I'm the reigning world champ. I'm not. I'm not taking an L to a 66 because I'm the reigning world champ.
Like, would you risk going from sixth place to fifth place
No.
You didn't. Yeah, you or you like you'd beat Kyoto first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
If it's
exactly what I
like
was thinking.
if it's like going from sixth to like podium place, yeah, I'll probably do it. If it's like sixth to fifth or fifth to fourth or whatever, it's like I'm not losing to this guy.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Especially when you're the world champ.
Yeah.
You want to defend. You're like,
So
you can't.
which is why, you know, if I get this if I get to compete at Sheffield, it will be interesting to see.
That is exactly why you have to show up at Sheffield. That's exactly why in your position you say yes. It's an opportunity
Yeah.
to take a shot at the champ.
Yeah. And I think
Run it
I'll
back.
get my shots. You know, I'll tell you something. I said at first, I don't want to give my fate into somebody else's hands, but I don't know why, Ryan. But I'm telling you, I have a feeling that the powerlifting gods will be with me.
One more time, huh?
I
One more time.
you know, so when I was thinking about this opportunity with Sheffield, I was talking about it with Anissa in the car, and she was like, I don't know why. I have a feeling it will happen. If you say yes, I have a feeling you'll compete at Sheffield.
Listen, the powerlifting gods, they're like the gods of war. They give, they take away,
Exactly.
they give, they take away. But every
Exactly.
now and then they smile on you, don't they?
Exactly.
Every now and then they smile on you.
So that's why, like I told you in my head, it's not I'm replacement, blah blah blah. It's like I'll compete at Sheffield. So
And
that's what I'm.
I'll tell you what, you're the type of guy you do everything you can to seek out challenges.
Yeah.
And one way of not seeking out that challenge is just saying, no, it's too tough mentally. The sacrifice I
Oh
make,
yeah.
what if I
No.
don't? It, your athletic prime is this big. So
Exactly.
you say yes to every opportunity, just the opportunity to be involved. So you go head up all over again with Kassem.
Yeah.
Shell coming, good, good. Is it? Well, how's his resume? They're talking about him like he might be a goat.
Yeah. For
Let's
sure.
clash with the goat. Let's clash with the goat. You know, like
And you know, I want to be there because then I'll be able to answer to everybody was like, oh, what do you think of Kjell? What do you think of this? What do you think? I'll be like, hey, here is what I think of it. I showed
yeah,
up. I
that's
showed
true.
up.
I was ready to rumble.
No
I
matter what
showed
happens.
up. Yeah, yeah.
So
And hopefully
let-
December gets a little bit of a sneak preview where you're at too. French Nationals was nice.
yeah,
December can be even nicer.
yeah. Yeah, I think that could be interesting. That could be interesting. We'll see how training goes. But yeah, in my head right now, I'm training to clash with everybody at Sheffield. Obviously, I mentioned the other 66s, although Kjell is not technically a 66 for me because he hasn't competed as a 66 yet. But let's bring him to the conversation. But yeah, it's
Can I say something? I
yeah,
love this angle. I love this angle because you know everyone's going to listen to it. He's going to hear it. He listens to King of Lists, but everyone's going to listen to it. I love the angle of what's your opinion? I don't have one. Why would I have one? He's not 66. And in sticking with it, and even though we're talking about him, you'll pause mid sentence and be like, even though he's not 66, I don't even know why I'm saying this. And then you'll come back. And it's the perfect it's the perfect way of because he's a tough guy to dismiss. His resume is amazing,
oh,
but you
for sure.
but you found an angle where you could be like, oh, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not dismissing. I'm just saying it's
But
it's
but but to be honest though, like it's like for me it's the same as if I would say I'm going 59. It's the exact same thing. I never did it. You never see me do the cut. You never see me compete once as a 59.
mm,
So how could you be like, oh yeah, he's done it when I never competed as a 59? And you
mm,
know, he's at 70 something kilo body weight training. That's cool. 70 kilos is not 66 kilos. It's not the same. So first you have to make the cut first, and then you have to compete. So when that happens after Sheffield, then I'll be able to give my opinion on Kjell as a 66 because I've seen it. For
mm.
now, it's just what if. What if
Dude,
he makes the weight? What if he makes this total, that total? Let's see. I don't know. I don't know why all of the other athletes act like he already won. He never did it.
so you got a totally different perspective.
100%. And to me, it doesn't make sense that the other athletes don't have the same perspective. It's like it's as if Perk would say, "I'll go 66." Yeah, compete once, and then we see. It's as if Taylor says, "Hey, I'm going 66." Like all of the 74s in the world can say, "I'm going 66," and all of them are welcome to say so. It's just, "Hey, are you able to do it?" And we'll see.
Look, I can't wait. I hope we get to see.
Hopefully.
I hope you.
And,
I
and
hope.
and I hope he does it. I hope he makes weight, and I hope I'm there to compete. That's
Yeah,
We'll see.
my man. Let's put a pin on it right there. We're getting close to 3 hours, and I don't even know what time of the night it is for you at this point. What
2
time is it?
2 a.m. 2:20 a.m.
God damn, man.
But because of that podcast, I won't be able to fall asleep right now. I'm too
I
hyped
got
right
you.
Too hyped.
Dude, I got more, but let's put a pin in it there because we're going to talk again, anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, we could talk like crazy, but we could go another hour, but we're going to be into like 3 o'clock in the freaking morning. And that was the, and wanted to get you on because you're now officially announced as the alternate for Sheffield. You're going to be there regardless, no matter what. So I wanted to get you on the podcast for this. And dude, I'm excited. Let's keep in contact, man. I'm crazy excited for this local meet.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
It'll be
I'll
cool.
I'll
All right.
probably announce it. I'll announce it after the podcast. So you'll have this exclusivity that I'm going to have my first comp as a light 74.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. Right
Yeah.
afterwards, you're calling out Perk.
Yeah, I'll chase
Change my
that.
mind. Feels so good. We're going 74.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, as per usual, dog, thank you for coming on.
My
Um,
pleasure.
freaking we'll do it again. We'll do it again soon. And I'm glad I'm gonna see you at Sheffield. I was gonna see you there anyways,
Sure, for sure.
and for everybody listening, as per usual, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.